Good evening. It's fine. It's fine. Like Kuma Venice. Trying to catch the same time for raids. I don't. You just mean you're trying to end at the same time? That's fair. I understand how the cycle works. I'm fine with that. There's definitely been times where, hmm, I've extended because I know that someone's going to be coming on in a little bit, and then I ended up being a little later than I expected today. Yeah, I'm a bit excited too. I got through part of it, and some of it, the UA, uh, it's just sort of a wow, really? You're really doing this? Okay. Um, yeah, so I wanted to stream yesterday, but my voice was not there. I had to do a lot of talking otherwise. That's too hot. It's too low. It's too low. It needs to be higher. Oh, wrong size. Okay. Need to put it in a different space. Okay, this goes over here. Multiple windows. Is it that I'm larger than normal, or is that just in a slightly different position than I was expecting? Let me check. Let me check real quick. Why is it acting like that? Oh, has. Oh, something happened. Did everything get resized again? Sized again. It doesn't look like it. I wonder if OBS updated while I wasn't looking. Hello, Reverie. Good to see you. Did do that. That should be a little better. But yeah, just starting. Yeah, no, I was preparing for stream and I checked my mic and I moved my arm a little bit. I have a mic that's on a stand so I can hang it as opposed to keeping it on my desk because I have cats that tend to like taking up desk space. Not deck space. I'm sure if they had access to the deck, they would like that too, but they don't yet. One day there will be a cat deck. But yes, dick, not dick. Okay, hanging mic on my desk. I moved it, it stopped working. I had to restart in order to get it to work. It's a little finicky. It doesn't have its own power source. It's a USB mic. You have to work on redeems. Have a good night, Kuma. There's Nekama and now there's just Kuma. To keep that in mind. Kuma. This isn't Charlotte. But yeah, so I had to deal with that. And then upon restarting, Windows 11 reared its head. I should have been able to update it sooner, except for the fact that I had not made a switch on the motherboard. But now that's done, and now I get the threats when I restart. I guess I haven't restarted since then. It's I cleaned the desktop. I had to take it apart. Good night. But yeah, I also had to take apart my desktop in order to put a new hard drive in because videos take up a lot of space. So now I have another 10 terabytes of space in there, and my computer should be nice and clean and ready for this horrible heat of summer, which thankfully is not actually too bad up here, even though I'm at a higher part of the house. I have AC, and it is kind of pointed away from where the mic is, hopefully, so it won't be too messy. In worst case scenario, I can't really turn it off because of pets, but I can use a fan I have. So I have a last resort for heat. But yes, Unearthed Arcana. Okay. So, yes, this just came out, what was it, yesterday? Or at least it was only announced yesterday. And it has a smorgasbord of things in it. There's a race, there's a subclass, there's some background, some feats, and some spells. And some of the backgrounds apparently rely on the feats, which was a little bit annoying. Hopefully it's a good enough viewing spot for you. It's much larger than I would normally have it, like usually having the entire page on at once, but this is easier to read on another screen. Okay, so especially because it's a two column layout. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain what they're grabbing from for this. I know a lot of other people can point out, ah, yes, this obviously belongs to this particular setting, and that's what they're preparing for. They are preparing for some sort of setting, considering they have, this is the second book, or not book, Unearthed Arcana, revolving around giants, because, was it, I'm just gonna open this in a new tab. Hopefully, okay, I'll have to do the thing. But the previous one was not this, it was articles? Unearthed Arcana. I had giant options. And I don't think that Heroes of Kryn was necessarily related, but Travelers in the Multiverse. What one was this? Let me just open a couple up. This one was full of giant stuff, and I was really depressed because it didn't actually have a giant in it, like a race. Or rather, like a sub-race. It's a Spelljammer thing. Maybe they are. Maybe they were trying to include giants in Spelljammer. I'm really excited about giant stuff. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. And I do know that there is a giant that has a link to primordial magic. But that was, I think, a special Eberron giant that doesn't exist elsewhere aside from one particular 3.5 book. So maybe they're trying to shove it in there? Probably not, though, considering Eberron is someone else's child. But glitchlings. So I guess these are, I mean, the way that they describe them, they are 100% from the law of, or plane of law, and that fits in with the theme, right? Because, let's see, plane of law, like those little critters. Mechanus is the name, right? Yeah, it's Mechanus. So I'm guessing you can have the creatures that they describe, the glitchlings, probably are more humanoid versions of this. So it's your more steampunky, Warforged, I guess. That's kind of how it looks based on the name. Okay. And they talk about ability score increases. It's just 2 and 1. Or 3 scores that get an increase of 1. Quick build, blah, blah, blah. Languages. Standard. Lifespan. Just assume with that. Assume a century. Height and weight. Kind of like human. Just think of your creatures like humans, but not. So winged human-like creatures made from merger of magic and machine. And they are meant to scour the multiverse to learn and then bring that information back to the lawful planes. Oh, 2 lawful planes like Mechanus, so it's not limited to just that, but then again, Mechanus is very specifically one setting, isn't it? And not every universe has one of those. So, good explanation as to why they become an adventurer. And I wonder if they specify how long they live, because I didn't see that. So they have rudimentary personalities, and they grow, but they should still be a little bit lawful, it seems like. Works. A little bit of this makes me think of 14 and their creatures, too. I forgot its name. I was just playing this story the other day. The alpha story, the creature there. You want them to fully embrace chaos? They actually, I mean, they don't have any not racial. They don't have any limitations for PC races for certain alignment, do they? Don't think they say anything about... No, they don't. Nothing about alignment. I guess you could also make it very clearly that, like, yes, well, they're never returning to, they're never returning to the law, the plane of law. They are, as they are named, glitched. They are not welcome back. I think it was 3.5 where you took damage if you were on a plane that was misaligned with yourself, wasn't it? Or it was much more difficult to survive there? Like you had disadvantage on things? It's been a little while. Don't think they have anything like that quite yet in 5e, but then again, maybe it was in the DM manual and I missed it because I didn't read that one front to back. I feel like by now I've read the player's handbook front to back. I do know it was a thing in 3.5 though, because we did some planner traveling and I had to do some research, and that was also my character's specialty. More specifically, demons and devils and all things fiend, but planner research. No, this was more so, now I want to look it up. Let me check real quick. I probably actually have no, I don't have any notes on this. Do I have notes on this? If we look up, like, rules 3.5, plane, alignment. Let's see. They talk about gravity. Okay, I don't have ad blocker. I didn't do the ad reps still. I am never going to do ad reps. I really need to do ad reps. Shape and size, morphic traits, elemental traits, alignment traits. Okay. So there's a circumstance penalty depending on how strongly you are, how strongly the plane is aligned. Yeah, that's fair for Pathfinder. Like, they might have... Oh, yep, they do have some stuff. Let's see, water dominant. Oh, okay, so this is the issue. Like, people made of fire, creatures made of fire, take damage every round that they exist in water dominant planes. But I think that our problem was more so alignment, because most of our party was not good, as in capital G good. And in fact, some of us were capital E evil, and we tried very strongly to not go to heavily good aligned planes. Or rather, like, strongly good aligned places. It's still too low. It's still too low. I need to move it up. Okay, I'll drink water. It'll make me extra croaky. So, if you are mildly aligned, thanks. Thank you, Deku. So mildly aligned, circumstance penalty for charisma-based checks. Then it may also be intelligence and wisdom-based checks as well. Moral, ethical components of the alignment trait do stack. Great. Okay, so I guess that was it. I thought that there was an actual harmful issue as well, but maybe that was more so because I had a fiend that I was dragging around with me. in. What plane was it? What plane was it? It was the one with the Cat Lord, which sounds like really... It sounds really... maybe... dumb is not the right word. It was a product of its time. We were in the Happy Hunting Grounds. That's where we were. Which, it's a very pretty place. We were in, oh, this is really cool. This is new. I think. Like, when I was last looking this up, it did not have this cool little, like, hover link option. But yeah. we ended up here trying to... I don't remember what we were trying to do. Figure out why we're called there. Ah, we were going for the Library of All Knowledge. That was part of it. But anyway, back to the wonders of the multiverse. So there's no harm to being the wrong alignment here. And there's no defined alignment for a glitchling despite being a creature originally created for lawful purposes. They are not humanoid, they are a construct. Similar to Warforged. Only size available is medium. 30 feet, standard. Armor class of 14 plus your dex when you aren't wearing armor. That's pretty good. What is the option for a... What is the option for a Warforged? Let me check real quick. Because Warforged also have something similar, right? And Tortle. Like, comparing against the current options for a pre-armored creature. What do they get? Warforged. Warforged get... Only a +1 bonus to armor class. Okay. And the whole issue of taking it on and off. Turtles have a flat 16 AC. Okay. Oh no, no wait. They have a base AC of 17 as a turtle. Yeah. 17. And they cannot wear armor. But they can wield a shield, so they can get up to a 19. But up to a 19 for a class that well, not class, but on a class that otherwise would have difficulty wearing armor, that could be really good. Theoretically, like, just taking the 17 as a turtle wizard, stacking a shield on it. So 14 plus dex modifier is still kind of strong. A gnome ranger and a turtle barbarian. Actually, I haven't really played barbarians a whole lot. But they also generally, they're unarmored and they get to add their con mod, right? So for a turtle who already gets a con benefit, right? Oh wait, no, their strength score increased by 2 and wisdom by 1. Okay. But still, you can... As a barbarian, you're going to be dumping stuff into your con mod too, right? And you can kind of ignore your dex a little bit with this as well, unless you're building a dex barbarian? But you can... I don't want to say you can almost dump dex as a barbarian here, but you can kind of dump dex as a turtle. Is that what you did? Did you dump dex as a turtle barbarian? And then you have the gnome ranger who can make up with it if they're long range? That's true. Oh. Okay, so it's just AC, flat AC 17. Okay. So you don't get the benefit of unarmored defense then. I would test this out just in case, because I don't have any more character slots on D&D Beyond. Oh wait, no, I do have a slot. Sweet. I'm gonna real quick check that. Real quick. Okay, let's see. How hard can it be? I don't have... Oh, never mind. I don't have access. Sucks. Oh, you were the Gnome Ranger? Oh, you played with a Turtle Barbarian. Okay, I read it as you played as a Turtle Barbarian. Using a sling, not a boomerang? I want to say, well, I remember seeing a video recently where they talked about the sling, and people were talking about like the least favorite and the most maligned options or like weapons, and the sling was completely forgotten. It was just completely left out. I mean, it was the person who made the video remembered, but whenever people were talking about the worst weapons, like sling didn't even register because they completely forgot it was an option. A lot of info. It's not quite so bad. Like if I zoom out a little bit, because I mean, the race is actually really short. Glitchling, it's not even an entire column to itself. It's just spread out a little awfully. It'd be nice if they could have had it be one column on its own. Look, it's you can read 12 pages of information. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And it's not like you have to read all of these. You just have to read the ones that pertain to you. But I'm gonna go over all of them. Okay, so yeah, Glitchling gets armored plating. So they get the AC bonus, or they get AC of 14 plus Dex mod. A folk hero type ranger? Yeah, that's fair. One-shots are fun for that purpose, being able to try out things that otherwise might not work so well. Or even just being able to ask the DM, like, hey, do you mind if I try and do something that might be kind of broken? But there's no consequences because it's going to literally be like one night of work. I feel like they're much more likely to say, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, let's break this thing. At least I was. I let my players have some weird stuff. There was someone who created for their one-shot, because I set the theme as, I want to say Ghostbusters, but kind of Ghostbusters, he made Luigi, including with, like, the vacuum thing. It was not... It was not... I want to say it wasn't broken. It wasn't broken. It wasn't as bad as I had feared as a DM. I think the bigger... Actually, no. I had a rogue, a bard, and I don't remember what the Luigi was. Maybe he was another bard. Or no, he couldn't have been a warlock. Sorcerer? Maybe. So glitchlings get to also balance chaos. They basically get a rogue ability. Like a mid-game rogue ability for a racial trait. They can only use it... Oh no, they can only use it a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus per long rest. They're still able to treat anything that's an attack roll or a saving throw under a 9. They can treat it as a 10. Yes, he was an artificer. Yes, he was. Thank you. Trying to remember other classes. Like, what would have made sense for someone who had a ghostbustery weapon? Yeah, artificer, rogue, and bard. Because the bard had, like... He was College of Spirits, I think? No. He was Creation because he had a little monkey symbol. A monkey that played cymbals as his animated dancing item. All flavor. Yeah, balance chaos. I think that's really powerful combined with the armor plating, but that's not all the special things that they get. They also get the ability of being a construct that can actually be cured by cure wounds and stuff like that. But again, that's similar to a Warforged, right? They get that living construct ability. Like, okay, I can understand that. Ordered Mind, they get advantage on wisdom insight checks, and on saving throws made to avoid or end the charm condition. So not as strong as elves with being impossible to charm, I think. Elves are impossible to charm, right? Or they simply have... No, they can't be put to sleep, but they have advantage on charm. So similar to that. To avoid or end, though, actually. That might actually be a little stronger than an elf, now that I think about it. Real quick check. Yeah, that is actually a little stronger than the elf bit, because Fey Ancestry is you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. So not just avoiding, but also ending the condition. But yeah, nothing about sleep. I mean, this could also be adjusted for other things. As I said, this very much also reminds me of the Omnicron. I feel like if I say Omnicron, I'm gonna say Persei 8. Omnicrons from 14. Which makes sense. That's a very common trope. Actually, just kind of if I look up that on like TV tropes, what else is going to come up? How many times has this? How much has this come up? Okay. Let's see. I don't know the search terms to look this up on TV tropes, but I guess it's not really also made for TV tropes, considering, yes, I'm thinking of a video game and a tabletop game. Then again, I'm looking at TV tropes, Mechanus. Do you mean Mechanicus? No, I don't. Okay. Planescape? Okay, Planescape. Yep. Okay, great. There's stuff for it. But I don't know what the tropes are. I'll have to check that out later. So, yeah. Better than elves here with the Ordered Mind. And also they get something that I heard was a bit like Simics. Like a Simic gimmick, so to speak. Vestigial wings. So they can fly a little bit. When you move, you can engage your wings to gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed until the end of your turn. Again, tied to your proficiency bonus and long rest. So, temporary flight, and if you're still aloft at the end of your turn, you fall, which, depending if you're a barbarian where that damage is halved, or you just are a bucket of hit points, oh no, you fell. But I guess, actually in that case, if you're a barbarian, you should be going up into melee range anyway, so you shouldn't be falling very hard. I have someone knocking on my door. I think he wants to say hi. Let me check. Oh, hi. What are you doing? No? Okay. He is happy, I think. So yeah, a little bit of flight. So, an interesting bucket of abilities that seems a little broken. Maybe a little much. Sometimes falling is the most efficient path towards baddies. Considering, I feel like a number of DMs, myself included, really don't like making calculations. I don't want to have to break out what Pythagorean theorem in order to calculate the amount of space that you moved. Necessarily, I have had DMs who just kind of calculate it like, yeah, you moved up, but we're not really going to count that towards your walking speed unless it's really egregious. Like if you're going straight up. But if you're going up, what, like 5 feet every 10 or 15 feet, it's like kind of free. The same thing with water too. Like, who wants to break out math for the math game? Who wants to go? Who wants to break out math? So I feel like this could be slightly abused. And now he wants out. I cannot win. I guess he realized how hot it was in here. Or he's just disappointed that I have not opened the window. Okay, cleric subclass. This was the other one I got a decent look at, and there were some things in here that was a little... Like, I played a... not a divination cleric. Well, actually, I played a divination wizard and a knowledge cleric, and this kind of feels a bit closely tied to both of those, like another spin-off of the same concept. Zombies throwing themselves off cliffs to chase your players. It does sound fun, like, also because zombies, even if they were to take enough damage to kill themselves, they don't automatically die. So, oh no, I fell, and I hit 0 hit points. Just a quick roll to check, and like, nope, I got a hit point left. I can still count as something that you need to kill, otherwise I'm going to keep hounding you. It is zombies, right? And of course there's also potentially DM fiat if you're like, nah, it doesn't count as damage for them. It's bludgeoning. Also, it's bludgeoning, right? No, it's not bludgeoning? What a cat. Yeah. Actually, are they? I could have swore that... No, it's skeletons that get the... I don't want to say bonus, but get resistance to bludgeoning, isn't it? Not zombies. That's my bad. I think it's skeletons. Let me just double check real quick. Skeleton. Basic skeletons. Yeah, they have... Wait, vulnerability to bludgeoning. Never mind. My bad. It's the opposite. In my defense, I haven't played a game where skeletons were a valid enemy in literally over a year. The basic rules shows... Actually, since they're basic rules, I can just look that up and it won't be weird. Skeleton monster. Damage vulnerabilities, bludgeoning. Immunity to poison, of course. That's it. That's it. It's also bad looking. I really like the effect, like the, what's the phrase? Weathering effect, I guess? Aging on the skull on the shield. But it also looks a little photoshopped. Unless you meant the skeleton up here, in which case, yeah, the art for the books is really cool. It's got some real bangers. I never feel disappointed by like pulling out the official illustrations for creatures and showing them to the party as like, this is what you're fighting. This is what it looks like. Oh, this is the wrong one. This is the wrong one. So yeah, Fate Domain. So they get some examples of deities. Sure. So thematically, it's a divination wizard, but it's a cleric. But again, like looking... Okay, actually, is knowledge cleric even in here? If I go to... Cleric. I see a knowledge... No. Life domain only? Okay, fine. Actually, I wonder if I can... Since I have a character already built who happens to be a knowledge cleric, I can probably just view her character sheet real quick. Can I share it to myself? It's not gonna be weird. It's not gonna be too weird. let's see. Knowledge cleric, knowledge cleric. It won't be all the way up to final level, but it will be a section on abilities and stuff. So she's a halfling, and her features and traits? Her features and traits. She has knowledge. So back and forth. Fate domain spells versus spells for knowledge cleric. Command identify. Dissonant whispers heroism. See invisibility, warding bond, beacon of hope, clairvoyance, death ward, divination, commune, gesh. Versus knowledge domain, where they get command and identify, augury and suggestion, non-detection, speak with dead, arcane eye, confusion. So they don't actually share anything. Last section is legend, lore, and scrying. But I feel like in the case of the fate domain, they should have probably gotten augury. And probably also scrying. But they maybe didn't want to step too much on knowledge domains feet there. He is throwing a fit. I don't know why this child of mine is throwing a fit. He's normally such a good boy. He must know. He must know what's going to be coming tonight. Because it's so hot, I figured I'm going to let Contessa out of her current bedroom. I'm going to let her have free roam of not half of my home, but a much larger chunk of it. And that is normally where this sassy child lives. So he's going to be missing out on a little bit of his territory, and he's crying over that, perhaps. So yeah, not a bad selection of fate domain spells, just not everything I would consider necessary for that. Again, competing with knowledge domain. One of them has an appointment to get her tail docked. It did not heal as hoped, and so she has an appointment to get it amputated. But 3 weeks, well, I suppose 2 more weeks, and we'll see. There's still a chance it might be saved, but they would have honestly gotten her in for surgery if they had openings that weren't emergency. So just kind of on a watch of making sure it doesn't turn a strange color. If it does, then she gets to go for emergency surgery. But she's on anti-anxiety medications. So I don't want to say she doesn't feel anything, but like she definitely does because she's still not happy with humans. But she she exists and she's living a better life than she did outside. Even if she might end up missing most of her tail, it's better than that tail potentially killing her. Yeah. Cats are expensive. I had this cat for like 2 months and she's already over $1,000. Okay. Ties. Oh, wait, no, I didn't finish Omen's importance. She. You get to cast Augury without expending a spell slot, and when you cast a spell this way, no components whatsoever. Or rather, no verbal somatica material, and for the most part, that's all spells have. The only other component is the gold component for Acquisitions Incorporated spells. Vomit mice inside the house? Do they go outside and get the mice, or are the mice, stuff that they hunt in your house? I... Like, how much of the mouse? Because I've heard of people's cats just, like, eating the heads. I feel like Contessa would have done that. But that's good that she hunts outside the house. I feel like if we let Contessa go outside again, not that I plan on doing that, she might start bringing me presents. I also found out what the neighbors were calling her. I finally let them know that she was safe and that she had been missing because she is currently locked up on house arrest for crimes of cuteness and medical needs. And they apparently gave her the name Lily. So it's kind of, oh, that's very nice. Not going to tell them like, yeah, no, she's under the vet now for a completely different name, and that's what we call her. Yeah, she's in cat jail. She's been slightly released from cat jail, and she will be further released from cat jail. She still doesn't actually get along with the other cats yet. I'm introducing them, but they have their own personality quirks that make her perhaps not 100% suitable for living with them. The loud cat is... He's a coward? He's a huge coward. He's a bully and a coward. And the other cat, she's kind of a... It's a phrase, I think. Like Xanax mom? She's like the mom, Helga's mom from Hey Arnold, pretty much. Because of her medication. So she doesn't necessarily always seem to get what's going on. She'll wander into something not realizing this is the worst place to be right at this moment. And I think that the Contessa notices that, like, hey, this cat is not quite all there. I hope. Yeah, my current two cats don't like each other either, Xanax mom and the loud bully. It is coexisting. Like, I should say the bully wants to like Xanax mom, but Xanax mom does not like him. She hates him. She wants to be the only cat in the house. But we ended up with another cat, and now there is yet another cat, so what can you do? No one else was willing to take her, so she is where she is. And at least with Contessa, I can actually punch a hole in the door and install a cat flap and give her a microchip so that she can come in and out as she desires. We'll just have to see how much she actually desires to be inside versus outside. She hasn't gotten the opportunity to run out yet because she is in a room right now where she has access to, theoretically, to the outdoors. It's a bedroom with a separate entrance to... It has its own exit point, I should say, to the yard, as well as a exit point into the rest of the house. So it can still be worked out. She can still kind of be kept separate from my other two cats. It will just be a little disappointing. But if it keeps her safe. And if she doesn't end up with another wound like that. Right? Omen's importance. Uh, so, the free augury, and normally augury will change your, or will not work as well each time you do it, but they worded this in a strange way. The fact that um, your chance of getting a bad reading is going to be reduced when you cast augury. Like that freebie doesn't affect your later divination spells, which is good because otherwise it kind of shit. Ties that bind. Ah, I am muted. I am muted. Thank you. Sorry, I coughed. I'm muted for that. That's yeah. So Shrines of Fate bonus action. It's not concentration. It just kind of hinges on concentration here, where until you lose your. Thank you for the head pat. I try. Um, it hinges on concentration, but it doesn't actually count as concentration as far as I can read it. So, whenever another creature you see makes an attack roll or an ability check, you can use a reaction to give the roll advantage or disadvantage for 1 minute. And it's a channel in Divinity, which is pretty good, because I don't actually see that used too often. What is the default channel Divinity? The default channel Divinity is magical effects. Actually, what is it? In a little while. Yeah, actually, that could be used very offensively, too. Very offensively. Yes, I'm totally going to help you pull this prank off, bro. And just kind of nudge the DM that, nah, you're giving them disadvantage instead. That is true, yeah. Advantage on sneak attack. I've been doing that a lot more as a battle master. I have the one ability that allows the next person who attacks after me to give them advantage, and on some occasions that happens to be the rogue. On other occasions, it's like the one of the monks who are making like 5 attacks. So, I mean, it's still fine. It's just getting the crit for the rogue sneak attack is really excellent when it does happen. Really excellent, especially because he has what, Elven accuracy, which does some extra stuff, I believe, for that, or is extra helpful when you have advantage. Okay, Channel Divinity is usually turn undead plus whatever else is in your class. And turn undead is really specific, so Transit Fate is pretty nice for that. Versus, what did I have? Right, the proficiency with any skill or tool for 10 minutes. Except 10 minutes is usually not enough time to really do anything useful, but it's good enough to kind of fake you that you know stuff. So it's been used a little bit in that regard. Insightful striking. Oh right, and that was also a second level ability to give others advantage. With your reaction too, which as a second level cleric, what are you gonna use your reaction for? You don't have really anything else to use it for. So really good at real low levels. Maybe at higher levels there could be other uses for it, but it's still pretty good, pretty meaty. War cleric. That is fair. That is fair. But that doesn't apply to all cleric builds. Wait. But you're a fake cleric. You can't be a war fake cleric. Tricked me. But yeah, attacks of opportunity otherwise. Do you really see a fake cleric as being like a frontliner? Do I actually balance? Okay, no. The hand stays put. Let's see. Insightful Striking, 6th level. Bonus action, choose a creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. Brave target into the brief insight into target's defenses. A dex cleric with a roguish side. That would still be ranged though, wouldn't it, usually? Usually? And yeah, I guess that would be ranged more so. Because unless, I guess, versatile, it would be fine. With a rapier? That could work. Something to ponder. Something to try and build later. It's kind of a shame that they don't implement this into D&D Beyond, but that just means you have to take it onto actual paper, I guess. Or just a regular blank character sheet. Or I guess someone's bound to have made this up themselves, right? Using D&D Beyond's setup? Do clerics know how to use rapiers? Maybe if you're an elf. Do elves know how to use rapiers? There's gotta be a race that knows how to use a rapier by default. I feel like... Okay. Drow. You could be a Drow Fate cleric, and you can have automatic proficiency with rapiers. Does that work? I honestly don't know what other race might have that ability, but I'm sure there is some chart somewhere that tells you. Short sword, short sword, and shield. But you probably don't want the shield though, because you want a hand free for casting. You need at least one hand free for casting, unless you have Warcaster. In which case, you're, what, level 4 at least? Or you're variant human, I guess? That is true. I was just thinking more so for melee purposes. Yeah, they don't really give too many combat training type things anymore. which is kind of a shame. Actually, I wonder. I think I remember being really disappointed because I've been playing. I played 2 aquatic races, and I don't think either of them got the trident, which was just sort of like, why? The picture literally shows you with a trident. Why? Yeah, there's no trident on the Triton. You don't get that as something that you know how to wield. Yet the sea elf gets it. Yeah, I think that was my problem. Like, look, you can't see the boy. Can I just copy the link? Will it work? Will it just kind of be mad at me? Yeah, like, look at this. And you're telling me he doesn't... You're telling me the race doesn't know how to use a trident? Please. They're a martial society. Give them the Triton. Sea elves are fun. I was really happy with my build at that time. I made a drunken monk brawler. I wanted to differentiate from the other drunken monk in the party. So I made her a strength grappler instead of a dex fighter. It was not strictly the best idea, but it was a fun idea. So they have the ability for insightful striking to make an attack roll against the target. D6, add a number to the roll. Next time the target must make a saving throw against the spell you cast, the target must roll a d6 and subtract the number rolled on the saving throw. And this is, again, this is a bonus action. Number of times equal to prof, bonus, and long rest, again. However, 6th level, 30 feet, end of your next turn, your enemy is going to take a negative d6 on their attack roll for it. Or rather, your attack roll gets a plus d6 on it. And more specifically, that saving throw thing. I don't know of anything else that affects your opponent's saving throw like this, which I think is really good. Like, sure, I guess it's only a d6, but still the fact that you get to affect their d6, or affect their saving throw, I should say. And especially because this isn't like a save or suck. This is just a straight up, you suck. There's no way for them to get around that. It's just thinking like they can't. I guess your DM could just be like, nah, the legendary. I guess they could still work around it if they have like legendary saves, but still, it's not something that you have to roll ahead of time. A d6 instead of, yeah, actually, that, wait a second. No, this is probably also so it stacks with the disadvantage on stuff. Like, where did that go? Where that was Strands of Fate. So the question is, does a saving throw count as an ability check? I believe it does, doesn't it? Because it's not a skill check. It's an ability check. Real quick. Just like, real quick, double check. I have a feeling it is. All I have to do is open up the player's handbook. Whether or not a saving throw counts as a skill check. Let's see. It doesn't say that in here, necessarily. Okay. Does a saving throw count as ability checks? They are not ability checks? What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, well then. Okay. So it doesn't stack, unfortunately. But still, the fact that you can do that is pretty useful, I think. And also, oh, I guess bonus action at 6th level isn't the worst. It's not like it's using your reaction again or something, which you're already using for something else. Mm. 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 Disadvantage on saving throws. What are some of the other ways? Although thinking about it, my campaign on Saturday is entering its final arc, so to speak. We have got all the 6 MacGuffins for the 6 people, and the clouds of doom are looming on high. And the DM gave each of us a relic, basically, with a few special abilities attached to it. And my character, the Triton Battlemaster, with a strength of I think 20 now, has been given a strength of 25 and an inability to fail athletics checks. So it's just kind of a you realize that you just gave me the ability to literally grapple anything, right? Right? Because I've been grappling, and I've been trying to grapple for the past couple battles against things that have much higher strength scores. Not much higher strength scores, but like high strength scores. You know, creatures from the depths. Uh shuddering abominations. Silvery barbs. Silvery barbs. Find you a DM who lets you use silvery barbs. That's like another stupidly powerful. Was originally in UA and now it's in the Magic School book, right? Where did silvery barbs come from? Or was it Tasha's or something? It's within the past, what, 3 years? 2 years? Silvery barbs. Strixhaven! Yeah, okay, Strixhaven. Must reroll d20 and use the lower roll. Choose a different creature you can see within range, including yourself. Advantage on the next ability roll, or attack roll, ability check, or saving throw it makes within 1 minute. Can be empowered by only one use of the spell at a time. Right. I haven't actually played with this yet, because I was not allowing Strixhaven content in my game, because it wasn't actually out for most of the game. I think, because Strixhaven just came out earlier this year, right? When did Strixhaven come out? Oh, December 2021. Yeah, no, I hadn't gotten a good enough look through it yet to allow it. My campaign was rolling. And also, some of the things that they allowed in there, just dang. That also started the trend of, hey, here's a background. Also, it comes with a free feat. Enjoy. That's something that they've actually continued here as well. For instance, in Gateward over here on the right, feature Planner Infusion. You gain the sign of the Outer Planes feat. And also, you can get free food and lodging and stuff like that, and community you grow up in. Wait, Silvery Barbs is a reaction? It is a reaction. Ah. Especially because Insightful Striking isn't a spell, and... and... yeah, that stacks. That stacks. What classes get Silvery Barbs? Bard, Sorcerer, Wizard. Ah, okay, so it'd have to be multi-person project. Fucking over one enemy in particular. But having a Bard with Sorcerer or Wizard, I mean, depending on the flavor, like all that works fairly well with these. Or Magic Initiate, that's true. But then you're kind of locked in for that. You're locked into Variant Human or fourth level thing, or hoping that your DM allows you to get a free feat at the beginning. I think that's, I don't want to say popular, but I've seen that in action twice so far. Granted, some of that was a bit limited to racial feats. Let's see. Or feats that made sense for that particular race and not specifically a racial feat. I know that racial feats are a thing and they aren't really popular anymore, are they? In D&D. But they've been moving away from all of that. Potent spellcasting is pretty normal for a cleric of that level. Slightly overpowered, so you're gonna let the first level feat slide. That's fair. I've definitely... I feel like 5e tends to be more overpowered in general. It's really the beginning first 2 or 3 levels that are really... The first tier, early first tier, is really difficult, though. The rest of it gets way... I don't want to say way too easy, but... if it's not balanced right, it can be too easy. But those first 2 levels are real whack, when you can be down by, like, a cat. Visions of the Future, 17th level feature. Foresight spell without expending a spell slot. 1 minute duration. And only for refreshes on a long rest. Foresight. I haven't actually played anything that high, so what does Foresight do? Ah, Foresight is basic rule, so I can copy paste this right in here. Right in here. Eight-hour duration versus a 1 minute duration. But a free 9th level spell casting every day with a 1 minute duration. Cannot be surprised and has advantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. Additionally, other creatures have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target for the duration. Okay. That is... Wait, hold on. How long? Okay, 1 minute casting time versus a... Wait. It doesn't specify how long it takes to cast, so I'm going to assume it still takes a minute to cast. So it still takes a minute to cast, and then it only lasts for a minute? I think that might be the bigger force or problem here. It still takes a minute to cast, and it only lasts 1 minute. So if you know you're going to be going into a fight, that's fine. But I feel like that this situation is not really going to happen where this is useful when it comes to this. If it doesn't have a casting time because of the fact that it doesn't take up a spell slot, also doesn't specify it doesn't take material components and stuff, which might be the bigger issue. Okay, it only takes a hummingbird feather, that's whatever. It still takes verbal somatic components and a material bit. Yeah, they just need to specify that it takes an action, I guess. I'm not certain if it's something about the without expending a spell slot that makes it clear to people that it takes an action, or if it's simply missing. But then again, what campaign actually gets up to 17th level anyway? Who's gonna playtest this? Backgrounds. So, bonus feats. This was the thing that I had someone point out to me when I was looking this over earlier. If the DM allows any of the backgrounds in this section, all the characters in the campaign get a bonus feat. All the characters get a bonus feat. If you select one of the backgrounds, you get a bonus feat specified in the background. If the background you choose doesn't have a feat, You get a feat of your choice from this list. I like tough. I slapped tough on my Battlemaster Triton. Just kind of I get one last feat or ability score bonus. I'm already 20 for strength, and I dumped Dex, and con is okay. I'm fine. But wait, if I take tough, it'll actually give me more hit points than the con score increase. So yeah, just a bucket, absolute bucket of hit points. Can't wait for her to try and power word kill me, because that might actually come up. A 20 for con for your plasmoid fighter. Plasmoid. I mean, I know what a plasmoid is. It's just kind of a real quick. What are the benefits to a plasmoid? That's basically the goo person, right? They're not in a book yet? Are they not in a book yet, or do I just not have the book yet? Entirely possible I don't have the book yet. Goo in armor. So, yeah, you have the amorphous thing, right? Advantage on ability checks to initiate a grapple for a fighter. That's real good. Some more multiverse project stuff. Ooze. I probably could have, like, Plasmoid does seem like it would be fun to play. Dark Vision. Dark Vision seems a little weird to have on a Plasmoid. A whole breath is fine. Resistance to acid and poison makes sense. Advantages on saving throws against being poisoned also makes sense. Shape Self. The pseudopod. I suppose the amorphous thing is the biggest benefit to the ooze. Kind of want to see a plasmoid barbarian now. Or actually, sorry, I was talking about the Sea Elf Drunken Monk. It just kind of, what about a plasmoid Drunken Monk? A grappling plasmoid Drunken Monk. Okay. Gate Warden. This was the one that I also realized, like, if this existed at the time that I created my Sea Triton, my Triton Battlemaster, I probably would have picked this, except for the whole bonus feat issue. I probably would have just said, like, hey, so since you gave us all starter feat that had to do with our race, could I just have this background that comes with a feat? Is that fine? Discard and grow limbs as an action. A third pseudopod arm. But you can only use it for rudimentary things, not for things like holding weapons. Yeah, okay, it's got the mage hand limitations pretty much. But still, the fact, but 10 feet long. Okay, so yeah, mage hand rules a bit. You can also theoretically use it to open a door, I guess. An unlocked door. For the, in case there's a trap associated with the door. I mean, I guess it's still in your body, so if it's an electrical trap or something, that would still hurt. How would that actually work, though, now I think about it for damage? Like, would your DM still count damage to your pseudopod arm as damage to yourself? I guess it should. It's still a part of you. You know what we haven't seen in 5e yet? A plant person. I kind of want to see a plant person. I wonder if it's probably not very likely to happen in Multiverse, though. Just thinking about spider plants and their like little tendrils that come out that can be snipped off to no harm. Actually a bit sad. My garden is doing okay, but one of my plants tipped over. tipped over in a storm recently, so I had to retransplant it, and it's doing okay. It's not doing the greatest though since that fall, since that tumble. And I think my sunflowers were not the type that I was advertised to have been getting. They were supposed to be autumn beauties that are yellow, orange, and red, and they're supposed to bloom throughout the season into autumn, as the name would suggest. The problem is, though, that they've only been yellow, and one of the plants is actively dying, and I don't know what to do to save it. If it's just kind of naturally what's supposed to happen, I don't know how sunflowers work. I have to look it up. Leshy. Leshy, leshy, leshy. I mean, they do have some options that they could pull from 3.5 to bring up, but I wouldn't say no to a Leshy. I think I was a part of a one-shot that used a Leshy actually as a... It was set in the Feywild, and they basically reskinned a bunch of current, well, at the time, existing races for as fake Feywild creatures. So I think one of them was a Leshy, but was a Warforged, pretty much. I think that was it. So, for instance, there was a Cluttercon that was actually a halfling, if you stripped off the name. I think that they had a Ketchi, not Ketchi, what is like really big cat fae? Not Ketchi. I just like a big cat fairy. That's probably not the right word. It's not Ketchi. It's definitely not Ketchi. Cathpalug. They have a... They use a Leonin as a basis for a Cathpalug. And if Cathpalug sounds familiar, I believe that is also used in Fate FGO. Cathpalug are not dogs, they're cats. They're cats. Do not believe FGO. FGO's foo is not a dog. Kushi are dogs, yep. Ku is for hound. Like Holland. Which is literally hound of Holland, I believe. And yeah, Catshi, Kushi, Aoshi. I'm out of she's. You've never played FGO in your life? That's a good thing. Don't start. Do not start. Don't start it. I was very tempted to come back for the summer festival event. I say summer festival. It's not a festival. It's a... What's it? FGO Summer 2022. It's a horror camp show. And it's like beautiful mountain scenery. It's summer camp, yeah. It's summer camp with all the trappings of summer camp with like Boy Scout outfits pretty much. The cute campfire outfits for your characters. And also, there's a murderer on the loose. But you also get the cool summer outfits for people. And not just summer cards. Summer outfits. So if you already have the character, it's fine. And I haven't started it, and I probably shouldn't. Event Servants? And they released a whole bunch of cool new cards for people. Kiara in her bad cop and her mermaid outfit for her Little Mermaid shtick. Yeah. I really like the character designs and the character art, but I've already spent too much money on it and I haven't played it in like 2 years. Actually, what does her outfit look like? Oh, look at the cats! Look at the cat. Ugh. Wait, she has an April Fool's spread already? Really what I wanted to play it for was I wanted to see. Oh right, they also have this. Like I wanted this kind of, but again I haven't played in like 2 years. And also you get to see an alternate version of one character that seemed really cool. You get the outfit from the first mission. I should just do the first mission then. That's all I need to do. I don't have to go see Anderson. I don't have to see Anderson, like, beating the shit out of a little girl. It'll be fine. I can live without that. Gate Warden. So, Gate Warden, they are meant to be as they're written for the background. I suppose I'm not 100% sold on the like language recommendation, Abyssal, Celestial, or Infernal, because it really depends on what kind of gate you are guarding, since it's supposed to be a portal to another plane of existence, or against intense planar forces. Like, it doesn't have to be Fiends and Celestials. There are other potential gates that could be open. Again, from like researching the Triton background, it was interesting to see that they consider themselves racially as gate wardens against incursions from the plane of water, essentially. And that's literally what I built my Triton Battlemaster around. She's from a small outpost. Maybe small is not the right word, but they have a very specific way that they organize their communities, and so she's on one of the outer edges that is guarding a trench. And it's a trench probably to the plane of water, who knows? I didn't specify that. Just, it's a trench, and bad things come out of the trench. And her community, their goal was to not let the bad things out of the trench. And my hook for the campaign that I gave the DM was that something went into the trench, and things keep trying to get into that trench. That was not something that the Tritons were prepared for initially, because who was expecting to want to go there that deep underwater into this trench, into the unknown? So she was basically sent out to try and figure out the source of why things were entering the trench. And I honestly don't believe that her community still exists in the campaign, mostly because I think that they've probably already been destroyed by the literal storm of chaos and evil that is spreading through the universe. Well, universe is probably the wrong word. Spreading through the lands in our campaign. So, well, we'll see. We'll see if that background comes back to bite me, or if I get to go home to a happy family, theoretically. But yeah, so Tritons are supposed to be gate wardens, the race, in a way. Just a very specific gate type. In the future, planar infusion, you get Scion of the Outer Planes feat. It just kind of sucks because if you look at the Scion of the Outer Planes, which I'm going to skip over to. So they have all these other Scion of blah blah blah. But Scion of the Outer Planes is very specific. Happy theoretical family? Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, I thought it was a neat gimmick, the trench thing at least. In, out. Mostly only expected to go one way when you live in like the middle of nowhere. Very strange America, I guess. Right. Sign of the Outer Planes. It's specifically from this list of planes. You get resistance to a damage type and ability to cast a cantrip. And you can cast it without material components, and your spell casting ability is your choice. And the list is fairly limited to like astral, chaotic, evil, good, lawful, or outlands. That's not all the kind of gates that you can choose, though. I would hope that I would be able to maybe switch it out for one of the other Scion options instead. But these also are a bit strong. So, like, I was looking at Sign of Elemental Water, where you get Thaumaturgy cantrip. Great. Okay. I don't quite see the connection there, but that's what they chose. And then they get Wave Surge, which is bonus action, water, surge within 15 feet at a creature that you can see. Strength saving throw, 8+ prof bonus plus spellcasting ability, and the creature can choose to fail. That's kind of cool. So if you want to push someone away, actually just thinking about, this, you could use this to have them surf, actually. 10 feet away or pulled 10 feet towards you. That's actually kind of cool, having that choice as well. So rescuing someone with the water would be an option. And the water vanishes after they succeed or fail. And tied against your prof bonus, long rest. And it's not a spell, it's just magic. And it's kind of an, I wish this existed back when they added Tritons, because I think this is better than some of the stuff that they gave Tritons. Because Tritons right now have Gust of Wind and Wall of Water at certain levels, and it's just kind of a Gust of Wind from a deep sea water plane creature. Yes, this absolutely makes sense. It doesn't. It was just a bit sad. That was for the water one. Okay. Do they have... Okay, they still have a few more backgrounds. I'm not going to get to Witcher at this rate. It's just all going to be UA. Gate Warden. So yeah, they get a cantrip, and they get a damage resistance, which could actually be really powerful. Let me just go real quick back to that. Damage resistance, damage resistance. Psychic, Necrotic, Radiant, Radiant Psychic. So they don't give you force, that's good. Tritons are just supposed to be underwater. They're just supposed to be underwater. They write about them. There's... I go to Beastlands Plane? No? Triton? I'll just look up Triton here. This looks so awful. So awful. Where's the search? Is the search covered up by my ads? It might be. Might be. Ah, it's over here. I wish it didn't take so long to find it. Outsider race hailing originally from the elemental plane of water, but they've kind of been naturalized to... and we're playing in Forgotten Realms too. And Tritons are... The original reference books were from Forgotten Realms. Underwater adaptations, they know Aquin. They deal with Persona for their patron. Let's see. But yeah, they're underwater. Okay, what the frick? Okay, I guess they do go on top of the water, but I was under the idea that they were like real deep water creatures. Also, they don't like dolphins very much. Xenophobic. They breathe air and water, but in previous editions, they were one of those creatures that really could... They are labeled as a player character, but it's really hard to play them in most campaigns because of their need for water. There are a number of water races that have that issue where you had to basically be able to access water every hour like a dunkable amount. Otherwise, you die or start taking damage. What book were they added in? Not these. Volo's Guide to Monsters, Sea of Fallen Stars. Okay. Or Stormwrack, one of the two. And they also have the Tapple, which is completely ignored now. Tapple is right there. It's that weird looking thing. I can see why they dropped it. Yeah. They even define how they build their cities. I actually mapped this out to see what it ended up looking like, and it was not mathematically accurate, but close enough. It just ended up making like a really big square. Description, personality, government. Society, combat, organization, relationships, history. History. Elemental water. They felt guilty, they banished them to the farthest reaches of the oceans. And they're supposed to be on the seafloor, more specifically. Remote seafloor at that. Yeah, Volos doesn't have a whole lot on them. I don't think. I mean, like, they're in there, I guess, but it's not like they give a whole lot of talk about it. It's not like the old books where they dedicate a good chunk, in most cases, to how these sorts of things work. I mean, you saw the list of references here. A lot of Sea and Fallen Star stuff. But yeah. Resistance to psychic, necrotic, and radiant. I feel like otherwise this would be hard to achieve, like these sorts of damage resistances. Volos was also the one that gave, that said, hey, so they're a deep underwater race. Also, they don't have dark vision. Let me take a look. Now they're in Mordenkainen, so I guess I just have to actually bump up Volos as opposed to... Actually, Tome of Foes. Let me pop both of those open. Yeah, Volos has it. Strangers to the surface. Given their isolation, most Tritons have never been to the surface world. They struggle with the idea that they can't easily move up and down out of water, and the changing of the seasons mystify them. So obviously give them control of air and water. Ah, but they actually do have it added in here that they get dark vision now in the digital version of Volos. But I don't think it's in the one. Cats, poor cats. I mean, they gave it to Tritons. They gave it to Tabaxi, at least. They at least gave it to Tabaxi. Yeah, I mean, they try and edit it. It wouldn't be the first time about misconceptions about classes. For instance, there's that whole thing about, so tell me, which is taller, a halfling or a gnome? On average. On average. Which one do you expect to be shorter? I'm gonna tell you. Halflings. Halflings are shorter. Let's take a look. Can I even see it in here? I probably can't see it. Gnome, halfling. I probably won't be able to show it here, but if you look at the actual, like, player's handbook, the section on average, well, like the minimum, maximum heights and stuff, The halfling is smaller than the gnome, and most people, for some reason, don't really expect that to be the case. I think that the tallest of halflings kind of, yeah. Yeah, the tallest of halflings could be more reasonably confused with a short gnome, or with an average gnome, perhaps. But, like, I guess when it comes to inches, it doesn't matter to most folks, but for little people, I think it does. Yeah, yeah. And also, I feel like we don't have an accurate height reference necessarily for halflings, because a lot of the time, people just kind of draw them as humans, but shorter, and don't bother with adjusting their proportions at all. Let me double check real quick. Something about this. Character details? It's under character details, isn't it? Yeah, so a halfling starts at 2'7", and the height modifier is plus 2d4, versus a gnome, which starts at 2'11", with that same modifier, with a plus 2d4. And they're the same weight. So yeah. That's a whole that's a quarter of a foot of extra height as a baseline. That's quite a bit. And there's also the just general short nature of elves. Elves are average. Yeah, elves average shorter than humans. Most people just don't think of it that way, though. Elves usually start at 4'6", or maybe even 4'5". And humans are 4'8". Yeah, elves are shrimpy. That's why no one believes me when I say my height. Usually in everything else, gnomes are taller than halflings, but... Are they? I don't necessarily have a whole lot of... Like, halflings don't show up on a whole lot of other media necessarily. So I don't have that comparison point. Usually gnomes are kind of the... Gnomes are the designated short race, and a lot of people feel like there doesn't need to be two designated short races, you know? So, like, what? Elves are humans, but with pointy ears, and halflings are humans, just half the size, and a gnome is another human, just half the size, but also add on pointy ears. Fair, yeah. The gnomes are small elves, except they're small tinkering elves. They're not, they're magic, but they're more illusion magic and crafting a little bit. But then again, there's also the whole thing about dwarves. So, like, dwarves are the small crafters, but they're not actually very small. They are small but wide. Funny red hats? Do gnomes usually have funny red hats? I would think... I guess it would be red. Not red. Yes, red. There's just a variety of colored hats that gnomes can wear. But red is incredibly iconic. My other option would have been green. I guess it depends on if you want them to stand out in your garden or be hidden. Dwarves as big as humans volumetrically, and that's why they're medium creatures, isn't it? Just with a shorter walk speed. All gnome lore based on garden gnomes. The authority on gnomes. Just thinking about a game based on gnome lore based on garden gnomes. Like, what other lore is there about garden gnomes? All I know about garden gnomes is, I think it's a puzzle agent, really? And I've never actually had a garden gnome myself. I probably should invest in one. Maybe it would help scare away the other cats in my yard and other creatures. David the Gnome? I don't know what David the Gnome is. What is David the Gnome? David the Gnome. I'm not going to be playing Witcher tonight. It's just going to be talks of gnomes. Okay, what is... Oh, it's that gnome! I kind of know this gnome, but I don't really know enough about this gnome. So it's a book series, is it? Talk to animals according to Forest Gnome stats. Oh, Forest Gnomes is in the game. Yeah, no, I don't. I've played a gnome. I've done some research on gnomes, but not outside of a very small amount of information. They were not garden gnomes. But I suppose just like I'm a garden elf and not a wood elf, a garden gnome wouldn't be such a bad friend. I think I'd like a garden gnome. I'll have to look this up. Is it on? Where is it available? Oh, it's from 1986. Okay, that's why. Where did it? Wait, it's Spanish? It was Spanish. Is there any way to watch it now, I wonder? Or do I have to find a place? Look that up later. Probably nowhere. Does no one want to watch about the garden gnome? Was it just not that good? I guess maybe I'll just have to find the books? Hmm. Hmm. All garden gnomes speak Spanish? Hmm. Maybe. Gnomish all along is just Spanish, just like Drow all speak Australian. And what did we figure out earlier? What, Canadian orcs, was it? I think it was Canadian orcs. And so the gnomes speak Spanish. Let me just double check real quick my notes. I had a note for this. Oh god, I found my list of Pokemon. Yeah, it was Canadian orcs. Okay, so there's Canadian orcs and Spanish gnomes. Yeah, Drow speak Australian because they live down under, in the Underdark. No? You've not heard of that one before? Yeah, it's got similar threats too. Perfect accent for a Drow. Drop bears would unironically exist in the Underdark? Yeah, they would. Not that they don't exist in real life, they do. Yeah. That's the feats. Feats. I feel like there's a couple other associations that people make, but I feel like, because I mean, everyone knows about the dwarf. Uh, they tend to pin what Scottish accents on dwarves. And elves, it feels like a mix. Sometimes you will try and do what British accents in general, something just high and mighty for it. Doesn't always work. But I think the Australian drow is a popular fan thing right now. Country halflings. I haven't heard too much of that. I feel like there it could very well be a market for, like, imagine like Bayou halflings. That would be fun. Actually, just thinking like Bayou Chulton halflings. That should have been something when we were playing our Chult game. It should have suggested it to the DM. I don't think we haven't actually met any halflings. We haven't. Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Okay, sorry, I gotta add that to my note now. Like, Bayou halflings. Drow are pretty cool. I've never gotten to play one myself. Or at least not in any meaningful manner. as long as you play in the right kind of campaign. Something where it won't be too much of an issue. Slash, there's a non-cheesy way to deal with the blindness issue. Countryside English gnome. A lot of ways you can do a lot of races. Yeah, as long as you can pull off the accent too. Hmm. Mostly it's been super nerdy gnome, but not with any specific accent. More nasally and indignant halfling. Hmm. And a drunken sea elf, but again, that was just trying to sound more like a bimbo there because she was. I feel weird calling her a bimbo, but just you have the concept of a himbo, right? So just kind of flip the gender back around and it becomes a bimbo, except she still had the high strength focus. So bimbo sea elf. Channel Divinity, Strands of Fate. No, I already did that because we were on Gate Warden. We went all the way down. Gate Warden personality traits. No one cares about personality traits. Trinkets, no one really cares about those either. Giant Foundling is another background. So, talking about races, being taken in by giants as opposed to being a giant. So another potential, I suppose, for trying out another way of speaking or another accent. What would a giant sound like? I guess it would depend on the kind of giant. Yeah, yeah, empty-headed, super strong. That's the way to speak of it. And it is, unfortunately, as you say, a different connotation. I kind of wish it was the same, but it feels really weird to say, yeah, she's a female himbo. She was a female himbo. It was a shame that campaign was canceled. And it wasn't quite the same as a different race. It was very. So in the Little Mermaid, right? She decides to go up onto the surface because she fell in love with the idea of a boy, right? So my sea elf came up to land because she found a bottle of alcohol in a ship. So that's how she fell in love with the above ground through drinking. And you can't. Okay, maybe you can brew alcohol underwater, but I think it'd be really, really difficult compared to above ground. So if you want to try and make your own, you should probably go above ground, which is what she did. It also helped tie in with the drunken monk background entirely. She learned how to brew at a monastery, going with the more European style monastery. I mean, they were still martial arts training. Yeah, like what would even ferment underwater? I don't know, seaweed maybe? Like maybe a kombucha or something? Kombucha is made of seaweed. Is kombucha made of seaweed? How do you make kombucha? And like, I'm sure you could just say like, yo, magic, but otherwise, what is kombucha made of? Bacteria and yeast. But like, what is it made of? Okay. So, not kelp tea. I probably fell for the konbu trick right there. So, a yeast thing, I guess? Or like vinegar thing? Yeah, I had a hard time trying to figure out what would brew underwater, so it was just kind of something came from above. And also that is something that happens every now and then, right? Like underwater wine. Okay, so there's underwater aging, but like shipwreck wine is probably the better word. Yeah, like 300-year-old wine found in ships or something like that. So, it doesn't have to be that old. It could be a much more recent wreck. But there's all sorts of reasons someone can come above water. It's fun thinking of, I don't want to say gimmicks like that, but like interesting, interesting reasons why someone would stray from their familiar environments. Speaking of that, the giant foundling. So, grew up among giants. So even though you weren't giants, you kind of became giants with all this. So you get languages, intimidation, survival, you get equipment, origin stories, stone giants, jungle with dinosaurs, frost giant, giant soldier, nomadic giants, storm giant. Oof, that would be a real tough parent to please. And a cloud giant. A reverse Captain Carrot. That's fair. That's, yeah, fair. Captain Carrot is a character from Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, and he is a dwarf. Let me, actually, I wonder if I can find a good picture of Captain Carrot. Except this is gonna come up with, like, photos from, okay, not Discord, Discworld. It's probably gonna come up with photos from the show. But yeah, Carrot Iron Founderson. Yep, this is totally a dwarf. 7 feet tall. He was adopted by a dwarf family, and he's incredibly dwarvish in his mannerisms and his demeanor, but like much more traditional dwarf than a lot of the other dwarfs in the area. Like, he will out-dwarf them to make them feel ashamed for not acting properly dwarfy. A dwarf without a beard? I don't know if he can grow a beard. Like, is that the reason why? I don't remember. But yeah, he didn't find out he was a human until he had to get a real job. His beard doesn't grow in, so he can't grow a beard effectively. Do they have a thing on here for like beard? Okay, no, they don't have anything. He's also a very good policeman. Once he realized that most of the rules in the book were not usable. But yeah, let's see. What are the other depictions? Okay, so yeah, he's almost always shown with very short orange hair. Very short. Very clean cut. Which one's this? Okay. Spoilers. Spoilers. So yeah, being a human or some other creature that's taken in by giants. But thankfully, grow up into it very slightly, it seems. So, Strike of Giant's Feet. What is the Strike of Giant's Feet? How far down do I have to go? Ember of the Giant Fury. Keenness. Okay, it's going to be alphabetical. Absorb primeval magic that gives you an echo of the might of the giants. What do you mean I'm not a fire giant? Do fire giants actually get fire beards? I shouldn't actually be surprised at that, considering the minis that I've bought in the past. I feel like I've definitely fire giant. I've definitely seen, like, My Hero Academia style fire beards. Or do they not? Maybe they can turn it on and off. And not, like, the kind of shitty way that the My Hero Academia dad has it, where he turns off his beard and like his entire beard disappears. All he's got is stubble. Like it's either on fire or it's a beard. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty metal. Fire mustache. Is it? Or was it the previous one? Yeah, that one's kind of just a fire mustache, but I'm assuming like the entire thing is kind of fiery. We just caught it maybe at a bad moment. And that one, I think it's just hair. Like, what book do I have to dig into to find this information for D&D Forgotten Realms? I might know which book later to look in. Maybe. Actually, probably not that book now I think about it. That was just one type of giant. No, the 3.5 books. Does Bolos have about fire giants and stuff? Let's check real quick. Volo. Hornkaidens. It does talk about giants, yes. I didn't have too many giants in my book, so I didn't really look at it too much. Their photo of a fire giant doesn't have a beard, but it's also hard to tell if it's a woman or not. Let's check. Gonna pop up in the image at least. Oh, that wasn't the image. Not the image. This is the image. Base monster manual. But are they actually like basic rules, or are they fire giants? Yeah, I guess the picture of the fire giant here. Let me pop this one up too. He doesn't have a beard on fire, which is depressing. Actually, he's like Ganondorf, just built a little differently, but not terribly differently. But yeah, they don't have anything in here about that. Just flaming red hair. So theoretically, if you just go on the text, flaming red hair, yeah, their hair's on fire. But if you take it as not literal, then... Maybe it might be a case of translation? But that's up to each individual publisher for the book, whether or not the hair is on fire. And then you have the actual image where, like, yeah, obviously it's on fire, but that's not cool. It'd be cooler if it were on fire. Maybe it's just safe for, like, a higher level fire giants. Maybe the fire giant king would have that? There's a king, right? Strike of the Giants is the ability that the Erased by Giants person has. So you get an echo of giants. So you call upon the power of the giant magic. So extra power. It's not the original image from MM. It might not be. This is from the basic rules. So there's Fire Giant variants as well. Then there's a Compendium Sources Monster Manual version, which references the same image as the one I just showed. The Fire Giant variant is the same image, and it comes from Storm King's Thunder. Next time I plan one of these, I really need to bring over my D&D Beyond account so I can reference it. 4E Fire Giant looks better? How does that look? Does that look? 4E. I was thinking 3.5 again. Okay, so it's this guy. And gal? Let's look at the Forgotten Realms wiki. Like, why does it have that? The 4... Nope, not add. Not add. Come on. Yeah, that's way cooler. The 41. What the fuck is this? He just looks like a dwarf. He looks like he's a dwarf from the underground. I think most of that perception is because of the fact that he's only coming up to the, what, hip of the character next to him, which I'm guessing is a different type of giant. You're right? I mean, considering they based it on, okay, this and this, that is a lot better. It's just... it's ugly. Yeah, no, Fori is the coolest. Fori is by far the coolest. I mean, this isn't bad. You just gotta give him flaming hair. You just have to give them flaming hair. And maybe the flaming eyes look too. Maybe this was something that they chose to do to help differentiate them from fire elementals or something? Maybe not elementals, but other natives from the elemental plane of fire by not giving them actual fiery hair. That might be it. A beard of ice, that's fair. I suppose it also depends on how big your world is going to be, because you could always make these changes, and if they're not going to interact with something else that has that same sort of background, I suppose, it'll be fine. Like, if they don't need to be able to judge the difference between an Ifriti and a fire giant, why not give the fire giant flaming hair and beard? What does an Ifriti look like here? Real quick. I'm gonna bring this back up. I know where the search is. Is it Ifriti? How do you spell Ifriti? Can I even spell Ifriti? Ifrit? Ifriti. Okay, whoops. Okay, they look... The 4E versions look closer to the fire giant, but still, it's kind of like a mix between that and a demon? 3.5, they look quite drastically different. They look more like an Oni there. So yeah, this just kind of looks like an extra ugly Oni or demon to me. It doesn't scream Ifrit. Technically post-apocalypse. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. What does... If I just look up type giant, there's gonna be a list of all the other giants. Okay, so that's the problem here. So this is our fire giant next to a human, and then next to the green giant, he just looks like a dwarf. That's the problem. Okay, so that was the ordning. So, actually, the photo, did that describe... Okay, Firestorm is the middle, and then Frost. So, Frost Giant. There's no... God, why does it cut off like that? Okay, so that's the next one. Is that from... Ori? Yeah, it is. So, yeah. Great E. It looks good. It looks very technically well done. It's just not giving you that frost beard that 4E went for. Not as tightly tied to their element. And then this guy, who's partly cut off, but again, not frosty bearded. The green guy is a storm giant, and storm giants look... Okay, I'm gonna actually, like, harken back here to 1. So we can't be disappointed by going from 4E to 3. Let's reverse it. 1. Okay, that's a human. This is another human, I guess. Just, yeah, bulkier in the chest, I guess, with long flowing locks. 3E, you've got kind of similar. They went more green. And 4E, dang, they look cool. And then we have the 5E one, which is a more tempered version, I think, of the 5E1. Seaweed beard, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, seaweed beard. And this actually is supposed to feels a bit like they're trying to evoke Loki with the raven in the background and the thunder in the hand. I mean, they are storm giants. It's just that was extra hard on it. Versus this one, which I guess feels a little bit more Zeus. It might also be like the big, huge buff man versus the not quite as buff man, like more old man. Wisdom in those eyes, in those blind eyes. So yeah, I guess they kind of toned down the giants a bit in the next version. Wait, let's Titan, Cloud. Real quick, Cloud Giants, because I know that they're one of the... Is it Storm Giants or Cloud Giants that are like the really... Cloud Giants are easygoing. Okay, so Storm Giants are the absolute, like... Fuck you, I'm the greatest bitches. Bat subraces, descriptions. Wasn't it? Good terms. Could have swore that there was one giant that was just absolutely... Absolutely thought they were the best thing ever. They're good. It was a Storm Titan? No. Nope. I really thought that one of them was really... Oh, so it is Cloud. It's just that the... It's just hidden a bit in the fact that they're supposed to be easygoing, but other people are lesser. And they're skipped over in 4E. Okay. I think I've seen this one before. I think I have some really nice bone figures I wanted to paint of a Cloud Giant couple. Like King and Queen set. I think that was going to be the aim, doing this style. This look. So they have a bunch of options here for the Strike the Giants. So bonus action, imbue magic into your attack. Melee or thrown weapon attack within the next minute. Additional effect depending on the origin of your giant magic. Hill Giant, extra damage of the weapon's type. Strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Stone Giant, another 1d6 force. Strength saving throw or be pushed away in a straight line. So, slightly different. Frost is cold damage. Con saving throw, speed reduced to 0 until the start of your next turn. That's kind of nice. Wait a second. Bonus action. This isn't unlimited. This is tied to prof bonus long rest again. Because otherwise the Frost Giant thing is just kind of a, aha, speed reduced to 0. That's another one of those nice things. Along with the extra damage. Just imagine being able to do that constantly. I guess it is a bonus action of 1d6 eventually is underwhelming. But I suppose it's I won't say a last-ditch attempt, but after you've run through your main abilities to tack on damage with a bonus action, this probably wouldn't be so bad as a next step when you're later in the game. Or you just start using it for the extra ability, not for the damage. 1d8 fire damage, nothing else, just 1d8. Cloud Giant, thunder damage, 1d4 only though. Whiz save, you become invisible to it until the start of your next turn. That's Interesting. Strike of the Hill Giant for the Gnome Ranger. But it has to be... Wait, thrown weapon attack with a sling? Does a sling count as a thrown weapon attack? It does, right? Because it's not a boomerang. Not the boomerang. I'm thinking slingshot. A sling would be thrown, would it? Let's just look up sling. That has to be in the... Isn't thrown, though. Kind of wish there was a... Wait, I guess there is a little bit. Up weapons here. No, thank you. Okay. There's no, like, weapons table I can easily look up. Slingshot doesn't count. Dagger counts as thrown. Yeah, I wasn't certain if slingshot counted. Because again, who really... Or sling, if sling counted. But it wouldn't be so bad, I suppose, for some other things. Javelins, right? That's very... I feel like that would be very traditional for a giant, too. A javelin. Invisible to it until the start of your next turn. Hello, Warcraft Acre. We're talking about D&D. I was planning on eventually getting to The Witcher, but I'm still actually not done talking about the latest Unearthed Arcana that came out. It is a Wonders of the Multiverse, focusing on giants and other things. Like, we went through the Glitchling race, the Fate Domain subcleric class, and we're working on some of the backgrounds. And I jumped down into... I've been jumping down into feats as I've been going through the backgrounds because they're very important. It's so if you follow D&D, backgrounds did not have... Backgrounds didn't start coming with feats until December 20... Well, before December 2021, when they were doing work on what eventually became the Strixhaven book. They started tacking on feats into some of the backgrounds. And they've continued that. And they even have a little note here in the beginning of the background section that if your DM allows any one of these backgrounds that comes with a feat, they should let everyone else in the party have a feat as well from this book. So no one, I guess, feels a bit left out. Which, great, I guess, but you might just want to limit it so that no one can pick the backgrounds from this book. Or maybe just adjust it in your case, like if you still want the flavor of it, to have it something that isn't the feat, because the feats are a bit... Well, I don't want to say they're strong, but you get a lot of free magic from it. So, one of them... Well, this one isn't a magic-specific feat. This is tied to the raise as part of a giant family background. So you get Strike of the Giants, and when you attack up to prof amount of times per long rest, you get to add some extra damage and another effect most of the time to your attack. So, like the Fire Giant does an extra 1d8 damage. The Cloud Giant was 1d4, and Wisdom saving throw, or you become invisible to that target until the start of your next turn, which is kind of weird. I don't think there is quite so much... Is this the first time that you would be available to become invisible just to one creature? Because most of the time it's invisible to everything, and I guess... I want to say it's usually Sabersuck. You can't see the creature unless you break the invisibility spell. You can still kind of know it's there, especially if it's making noise or something like that, or smell, perhaps. You still simply have disadvantage, but one person thinks it's completely invisible and everyone else can see it. It's not something that usually happens. Maybe as a monster ability? It might have come up. Melee or thrown, yeah. Thrown weapon attack. So it's a melee attack or thrown weapon attack. A poof of cloud of smoke. True, true. Especially because it's a cloud giant thing. So basically the cloud giant kind of smoke bombs. And to that one target, it's just replaced the smoke bomb. Everyone else can still see you, because I guess you're standing at just the right angle for that one enemy. And Storm Giant. 1d6 lightning damage. As a creature, con saving throw, disadvantage on attack rolls until the start of your next turn. That... I mean, that's never bad. It's definitely got to be something to be used on, like, the one big bad, or something that has multiple attack rolls. That's really the key there. So, actually, I really like that one a lot. I like the Storm Giant one. I like that a lot. Actually, you know what? Oh, wait. I was just thinking Cloud Giant on a rogue would be really good, and then I realized, oh, wait. Melee or thrown weapon attack? You can still be actually, if you were a melee Cloud Giant. But I guess in that case you would not necessarily need the invisibility for your advantage, would you? Sorry, just the kind of... Wait, is it... bonus action. Okay, never mind. You don't want to use your bonus action necessarily for that. That feels like a bit more of a last-ditch attempt. Because your bonus action as a rogue is probably better used for something else. Like the dash or disengage, or even hiding? Even hiding, you're not guaranteed to become... Well, actually, invisible is not hiding. That's fair, thinking about that. So, it wouldn't be quite the boon I thought it would be. Working through this, I've had to fight a lot mentally on the invisible does not mean hiding. It helps with hiding, but it's not the same. Especially in the case of rogues. Or other things. Elves. Elves. Angry about elves. Wait, was there a variant for that? No, it's just Vicar of the Hill Giant. Didn't even finish the backgrounds. So we had Gate Warden, we had Giant Foundling. Planner Philosopher. Elves are cute. No anger about elves? No, elves are bullshit. Elves are bullshit creatures. I can say that because I am one. You subscribe to a distinct philosophy that seeks to understand the nature of the planes or some hidden truth of the multiverse. Arcana Persuasion. 2 languages. A bunch of stuff that no one cares about for equipment, unless you're dirt poor. Conviction. Sign of the Outer Planes feat. Once again. That's wait. That's the same thing that they gave to the Gate Warden. So, community that you grew up in versus other faction members. That's okay. I wonder. It makes it feel a little bit like maybe that was a copy-paste error on one end. Maybe? I can hope. Maybe there'll be a star. Same thing but twice. It's the same thing, but it feels a little better, because, like, in your community, great, except you probably already had, like, a home to go to in that community where you can get free food and stuff. Like, just go back to your mom's basement or something. Versus here, where, like, other faction members, they could be anywhere. They could be anywhere. Actually, this reminds me quite a bit of one of the factions I dealt with in 3.5. But they had a lot of factions in 3.5, didn't they? A lot of factions available. They could be in the hub town in the astral plane. Yeah. Or, you know, they could be on other planes. You know, those planes that are hostile to, like, so many outsiders. There could happen to be a philosopher of the planes living there already trying to study it and have some key things that could help you in your quest to understand these planes as you travel through them. I feel like going through a planner journey without a planner philosopher would be stupid in the future. It's sigil, right? Or sigil. I never remember the correct pronunciation. Yeah. Yeah. The Abyss Outpost of Philosophers is the rewarding internship that no one wants. Yeah, the Abyss would suck. I mean, I'm sure it would be very... God, how many would they have to send? Just thinking, like, is it a monthly post or something? Because you either want someone who's, like, really good, or you just want bodies to throw there. It has to be someone really good, then. Or, actually, maybe someone who's really good at it, who has a bunch of underlings that they send out for other things. That might be more of it. Now I think about it, that was probably also my character's future position in 3.5, since she was a fiendbinder with a focus on, obviously, planner, fiendish plane research. And she was part of a research group that didn't necessarily have anything to do with planes, but having someone interested in that and not having to send someone out to learn about that necessarily, who doesn't want to, who isn't prepared for the consequences. Not a bad idea. And if the corpse comes back, oh no, it's okay because we charged her fees for sending us the information. It was the most terrible faction to join. I had to pay like a fraction of my money to them for some mechanical bonuses. And also I had to pay monthly dues too. And the higher ranked you are, the more you have to pay. All for that sweet, sweet true speaking bonus. There are a lot of really cool factions in 3.5. The books were just so nice. There were just way too fucking many. But I guess that's part of it too. And I can't really say that and then look at the books here. It's not like they're coming upon 3.5, but because they're much slower paced than 3.5 ever was. They do have a date kind of set for, what, 3.55 now, right? It's supposed to be, what, 2024? Or something like that? Rune Carver. Literal hundreds of books? Yeah, and then there was also the magazines. There was Dungeon. It was like, what, Dungeon and Dragon? Yeah, Dungeon Magazine and Dragon Magazine. Just trying to remember if it was a plural thing or not. Like Dragon's Magazine? No, that doesn't roll. It's Dragon Magazine. And it wasn't even, well, I mean, how long did it last? 3.5? Not a decade, was it? I'm doing all this in the past. I didn't actually really get to play much of 3.5 when it came out. It's all more recent stuff, so it's kind of, it had a clean stopping point for new information. Unlike having, say, playing in a D&D game that started when there was only the 3 books, or the 5e game, where there's only 3 books, and then later playing long enough that, you know, new spells coming out that the DM did not necessarily have to think about when they first made the world. Or new little stars to things in general. I think I did play during 3.0 and 3.5 or so. Just once with a friend. It was only the 2 of us. They got the 3 books, or they got the starter set. and we popped it open and tried a little bit, but for two people and like two, I don't want to say kids, but for yeah, two kids, I think it was a bit much. And it was a lot of math for me at that time. It's a lot better with a lot of automated systems to take care of that, at least for 3.5. Like 5e, no problem. There's not that much. But I guess for 3.5, making the character is probably a bigger issue, especially because the way the rulebook is laid out. It's not particularly friendly to character creation necessarily. I would say, in my opinion, but then I think about something that I found out later on that even my DM didn't know about, who loves 3.5. It's kind of why wasn't this in this particular section of the book when you talk about wizards? Who knows why they laid it out that way? Why stick that important rule in like a subsection half a book away from the character creation rules when it's integral to character creation and character leveling for that class? Rune Carver feels like something that they already created and perhaps dropped. Didn't they just have something just like this? It was the Rune Wizard, wasn't it, in the previous book? Or previous UA? Let me check real quick. Okay, I have it set to 150. This is the previous one. Oh, right, and wait, this is 2021. Travelers of the Multiverse. So, Astral Elf, Autognome, Gift Hansity, okay, this is the Plasmoid book. For UA. So I have the other giant options real quick. It was 150? 150, 150, okay. Wait. Okay. It's like, are they publishing them on slightly different paper? Re-release a ton of options for the giants. Giant background prereq for it. Oh yeah, this is another case of them stacking on the prereqs for things, which wasn't really much of a... It wasn't really a thing in 5e before, but I guess with the whole kind of move, it's becoming more common. Actually, it started with the what? Dragonlance ones too, they started doing that? The prereqs? But then again, those were more faction-based benefits, I think. But part of it is they weren't very good on splitting the material, the concepts from the environment, from the setting. But part of that was on purpose, right? Because they have that, what's the phrase? Not issue, but they have that agreement with the Forgotten Realms creator, right? That they have to release so many things based in Forgotten Realms. And also they're just trying to shove everything into Forgotten Realms. Everything is Forgotten Realms adjacent nowadays. The Scourge of the Ancients. So it was Rune Crafter. Okay, so they have the Wizard Rune Crafter. And then they have the Rune Carver background. So, related. So you get Giant, History, Perception, Artisan's Tools, Equipment, but you don't necessarily how to use them. Unless it's something specific to the Rune Carver Apprentice feat that you get it. It'd be kind of funny that if you get like a set of Artisan's Tools equipment and you don't actually get the skill to use it. Okay, Rune Carver Apprentice. Let's check and see. Let's check and see real quick. Rune Carver Apprentice. Oh, right, different setup for magic. Yeah, so that's why they kind of tried to sidestep it, but trying your damnedest to keep Forgotten Realms out of your setting? Good luck, good luck. I don't, At least, as far as I know... I guess a lot of the problem is for some things, it seems to be intrinsically tied to the way that they wrote the the stuff. Just thinking about like races, you have to peel them away a bit, and you might have to come up with your own reasoning for why they are the way they are, potentially. But then again, you also have things like Eberron, where he did that fairly cleanly, and they don't have a lot of the racial baggage that the Forgotten Realms races have. Rune Carver. So comprehend languages without a spell slot. Long rest. You can use it, cast it with a spell slot too. Great. 2 runes of your choice from the rune spells table. So mark 1 non-magical weapon, blah, 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 with a rune you know. You learn 1 first level spell based on the rune you inscribed, as specified in the rune spells. And you know it until then. When you are wearing or carrying the rune marked object, you cast the spell associated with the chosen component or chosen rune once without using its spell slot. Or you can cast it using spell slots you have. Int, Wiz, or Charisma, chosen at your choice. And you can replace runes every time you gain a level, not just like when you hit a specific level, anytime you gain a level. Yeah, tiefling sub-races. I mean, you can kind of rewrite them more into what, I mean, Cambion-esque, I guess? Because that's what a lot of people play them as, right? Cambions are the ones that are actually half, well, demon or devil? I can't quite remember. I have it in my book of friends. Cambion. Actually, I can just pop that open here anyway. Yeah, get the right one open. I pop up Cambion. Okay, so Cambion is half demon or devil, or I guess Yugoloth or something. But when most people think of a tiefling, they think, oh yeah, my mom was a demon or something like that. And like, no, that's a Cambion. But like shifting it over probably won't hurt too much. So some of them like, it can't just be anything. It has to be the specific mix. Mothers of true Cambions. Okay. But a half fiend. Is there any other creature that's technically marked as a half fiend? Cambion, Alufiend. Okay. Dragloth? Okay. And Durzagon. Okay. I feel like there might be something else, but it's not on this list. It might also not quite count. I don't think it covers all this. I'd have to look it up in my book of fiends. Friends. It's my book of friends. He figures competent setting designer. I haven't actually read the Eberron book. I feel a bit bad for not having done that yet. I know I had a DM who was interested in running an Eberron game, but it did not come to fruition. What was the update in Mordenkainen that ruined tieflings? Elephants? Mind Flayer successfully tadpoled a devil? Small bat-like wings and sharp teeth. Okay. So basically like a succubus that can't pass as human. It seems like. Because a 3 third edition succubus can absolutely pass as a human, as long as you're not doing like detect evil or something like that. Yeah, needle-like teeth and diminutive wings. Let's see what else. That was one of the strange things. They don't quite clearly define how a succubus procreates. Uh, I guess the idea, because, well, in 3E, they were, I think, very specifically only female. So that, and there was another female only race. Not race. Well, I guess race. Demon? No. Fiend. Fiend is the good word. So there was like, the succubus was the female only demon group. And then there was the other one that was a female only devil group. That also theoretically could almost pass as human, but not quite, not nearly as well as the succubus. But it was always kind of a question of, so how do they make more? Because they're very clearly no males. In the case of, well, I think for the devils though, they have that hierarchy, right? And you can move up and down. But there were some groups of demons, not demons, devils that were outside that hierarchy. And I think that the female only devils were apart, like away from it. But I could be wrong. It was not a Yugoloth. It was something else. Hoons? I don't necessarily think that's true. Alhoons? Hoons. What's an Alhoon? I feel like I should know what an Alhoon is. Oh, okay. Mind Flayer Liches. Elithiliches. Potentially. It's always a bit strange with demons and devils. It's kind of a question of are they, as you say, like recycled above ground creatures, not above ground, but recycled material plane creatures, or are they more like food for that? Because there's the whole coin thing too. And when you sell your soul to a demon or a devil, more likely a devil, I suppose. I suppose that's fair. I also did some research on the afterlife and how that worked, but I've forgotten a lot of that part. It has been a good couple months since I had to refer to any of that. I suppose it might also be the case of if you sell your soul while you're still alive, you might be more likely to become food depending on how useful you are. But if you sell it afterwards, because that is an option, you might be able to negotiate to not be demon coin chow food. Eating your competition early is a good thing. That's fair in some cases, depending on how useful they can be. And I guess also like being able to offer things to someone who's higher up in the ranks too. Okay, the rune spells are fine. There's nothing as egregiously useful as the ones from the Runecrafter, I think, which was like... Wait, was it Runecrafter? No, there was something else, I swear. I thought that there was something in here for runes that was just kind of... Wait. Did they redo it? Rune Carver Apprentice. Rune Carver Apprentice. Wait a second. I'm gonna pop this up. I'm gonna put this on the side. Actually, you probably won't be able to see it if I do that. Can you see both of them at once? You cannot. I'd have to do a window for that. But yeah, you can see a bit of the comparison. They got rid of some of the options. What was it that was so... Oh, the Armor of Agathis, I think, was the, like, big one here, right? Frost Giant? But I suppose it's a different type of runes? Because here they're trying to pick concepts as well as very specifically pick giant types. Versus if we go to here where it is mostly concepts, and the only one that could be confused for a giant would be mountain. So, yeah, I wonder if this is supposed to completely replace the other Rune Carver Apprentice. An adept too. 4th level. So, number of objects equal to your prof bonus. Object can only have one room at a time, a different rune on each object. Ability score increase. This one did not have the ability score increase. So you get different benefits depending. So it's a very different interpretation of the same concept. Okay. Ability to draw out power from runes is crown. Battle runes. Advantage on the next attack roll it makes. Healing runes for hit points equal to... Did we just see this literally on the... We just saw this on the wizard. Didn't we? Yeah, it's the same thing. Life or wind. It's battle, healing, wind. It's the same thing, isn't it? Just maybe a little different. 30 feet. Until the end of that creature's next turn, it has advantage on the next attack roll it makes. Versus war. A bonus equal to half the level of the spell slot expended. Just thinking. Oh, actually for this it wouldn't be quite so bad. It's just a... What is it? What does this take? Just making sure, like, is this an action or is this just a... It's not an action or anything like that. So this is a freebie that you get more specifically. Because otherwise it would just be kind of like, wow, I spent my bonus action to do this and it kind of sucks because it was a level 2 spell rounded down. And I could have just used a level 1 spell for the same effect, theoretically, if you wanted the rune. But you're not. The rune is a bonus and not a main reason to do anything. But it's free. So. And this is another one where it is technically free. It's not an action to do anything. Which isn't so bad. Yeah, Rune Carver. Okay. So they're reworking some of the previous ones. Actually, did Rune Carver Apprentice... Did you have to have a background or can you just do it? Nope, nothing. You can just start that path without having the background. Oh, now the minimum levels, right. Oh, this is feeling more complicated. It's not actually complicated yet, but I'm sure for someone who's new to it, once they start adding books in, it gets more complicated. Okay, Agent of Order, prereq 4th level scion of the Outer Planes. Cosmic forces of order that lock the multiverse into patterns. Ability score increase, great. Stasis strike. Extra 1d8. Damage a creature you can see within 60 feet. With save. Restrained. How good is Restrained? I feel like it's not actually as good as people think it is. I feel like it's one of those conditions. Kind of like, grapple sounds cool, but it doesn't necessarily do a whole lot, depending on your setup. Restrained. Speed 0, no benefit, no benefit from bonuses to speed. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage. Okay, that's the key. And disadvantage on dex. Saving throws. Okay, fine. But like restrained. Okay, that's actually pretty good. And this is prof bonus, long rest. They really like that. Hello, Mervicino. Thank you for the raid. Were you doing... What were you doing? Were you doing art? Yes, you were doing art. What were you making? Like to hear. We're talking about Unearthed Arcana. They just released it yesterday, I believe. Oh, Mira for her birthday! Wait, Miru? It's Miru's birthday? Miru. Like, Miruku? Mizaki? Okay, Mio. Okay. Wait, Mio? Or Miu? Miu. Miu's birthday is in 2 days, right? Because today is when... Wait, no. Today is Thursday. Oh, shit. Okay, it's totally Mio's birthday. Yeah, great. It's late. They should be sleeping. Sunflowers sleep during the day. During night. Hello, Tan. Nice to meet you. And, hello, Jay. Glad to see you too. But yeah, talking about D&D. Going through the latest release that they had. I meant to do Witcher later tonight, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I'm now halfway through this 11-page document, 12-page document. Look at that 12-page. Oh, you can't see the 12 page. Yeah, there's 12 pages here. There's been a decent amount of tangents. A lot of things on not schedule. On topic though. Because this is giants. Ah, not the water. Okay, water. Okay, water. But yeah, they introduced a new race in here yesterday. The Glitchling, which is a planner. If you know what a Warforged is, basically imagine that, but not nearly as bulky. And also it has wings. Not very good wings, mind you, but it has wings. Okay, posture check. What? And it's supposed to be a little bit more inclined towards law, these glitchlings. But they've been unleashed from the plane of law, and who knows what they have met with that may have changed their programming. So you're kind of free to do what you want because there's no limitations because it's 5e, and 5e is kind of allergic to rules. Except they've added more rules. It sounds complicated. It kind of is. They've stripped rules from some areas and added them in others. There's a lot more feat chaining now. You need this feat in order to get this other feat. But yes, they had glitchlings, the race. They have fake clerics, which is kind of like a divination cleric and a not divination cleric, divination wizard and a knowledge cleric had a kid, and it was another cleric. A little bit. It just feels like it's repeating the same something that has already been tread a couple times over. Just in a very slightly different path. And then they had a couple backgrounds which included feats, which means that, oh, you really want to use this feat from this UA? Everyone in your party gets a feat now. It's actually, well, I won't say it's in the rules because like everything's in the rules and the DM can't ignore it, but the players just have to kind of point to this and say, but she got a feat, why can't I get a feat? Yep. Feats for everyone. I just finished the background section with giant foundlings and planner philosophers and rune carvers, which is kind of retreading the same stuff that went through the last UA, which was also giant based, which did not include any sort of giant actual race, which was a disappointment. And now it's another disappointment because, hey, you included a new race and it's not a giant based race. Give me the half giant. Give me the half giant. I want to be a half giant. IG, your DM lets you have a feat at level 1? Oh boy. Why can't I have one? I don't know if I'm ever going to play another campaign that starts at level 1. Thank you for the follow, Dan. I guess you like D&D. I'm only playing in one D&D campaign right now. I'm also playing in a Cyan campaign, Cyan 2nd edition on Fridays. Neither of them are being streamed. But for my D&D campaign, we started, God, over a year ago, very clearly, maybe a year and a half ago, at level 3 or 4. And we just now hit the final level, end game, level 13. No further, no more. And she gave us like crazy relics in the end right now. And we're probably going to die. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm prepared for death. In game, I mean. Starting at level 2 or 3 is an eternal question. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that in the future. I've done a couple one-shots where I've popped players in at level 4 or level 6 or level 8, and those always turn out fun. They've only once ever actually been a one-shot, and the other time, well, when it's been D&D, it's only once actually been a one-shot. The rest have been more like mini campaigns, like 3 to 4 sessions, like anywhere from 2 to 4. I partially blame the players, but I mostly blame myself. But yeah, it's been fun doing those sorts of one-shots, giving them more powerful items, letting them shop for their magic items, specifically tailored to their characters, instead of trying to guess at what they want, or hearing the eternal, like, I want the belt of hill giant strength. Isn't that the thing that's like instant strength of 20? Just hearing that, like, you're level 4 and you want that. I can't give you that. I cannot in good conscience give you that. The D&D is pretty fun. It also depends on the group that you're playing with, though. But it's always fun to read about it. I've read a number of the books without necessarily playing the content from those books, and they're really good for inspiration, too, for other things. And yeah, it can be fun. I know some people who've live streamed it, and it always seems a little awkward to watch live stream D&D because you're not just playing for yourself or your small group of friends, you're also kind of performing for other people. And that extra level. And also the fact that depending on how it goes, like, I've prepared assets before for a live streamed D&D game, and having to be careful of the rules around that a bit with a lot of material. For instance, I initially designed it using tabletop, or 2-minute tabletop assets, and then I realized that the streamer who was going to be streaming it probably wasn't going to end up like linking them or like crediting them, so I ended up redoing all of it with like custom-made assets instead, which didn't look as good as 2-minute tabletop stuff, but at least you didn't have to worry about crediting. But personally, I use a lot of 2-minute tabletop stuff. They are really good for like building custom maps. And I feel like it's really nice looking at just general battle maps that are made too. I don't see it very often, I suppose. Um, that kind of need for that style of art. Like advertisement for 2-minute tabletop right here, I guess. Maps and assets. He does a lot of really cool stuff. Okay, maybe I should just look at his. Look at him. Okay, can I zoom in? I can. It's not very big, but like top down building architecture stuff is really cool to look at. And also variants on this sort of thing. Like you think about what people need for D&D for art, and people think, oh yeah, I need tokens for my character. And you get that once and you're done for the most part, versus the DM who's constantly trying to figure out, oh god, where are my players going to go next? And trying to come up with something for that. Like, you don't need fancy maps like this, but it doesn't hurt. It's kind of nice to have a grab bag of this sort of thing for also for inspiration for the campaign. Like maybe you weren't planning on it, but now it's happened, and hey, you happen to have an asset for it. And they also do. I don't want to say pull apart, that's not quite the right word here. Individual pieces that you can piece together for a more cohesive map of your choice. Building blocks. Like all you need is imagination, the paper, and the dice, and probably the rule books too would help. But I find it's a lot easier to keep people's attention and keep things in mind when I have the little tokens to like, hey, let you know this isn't just a X on the map. It is a, what in this case? It's a target training dummy or something like that. There is no question, there should be no question in their mind as to what it is. Because that's definitely come up where people, especially in battle too, where like, what does this represent again? I wasn't paying attention, I was doing something else, or something like that. Textures? New art and the monster manuals are pretty good. Yeah, they are. It's been very nice grabbing those tokens out. I'm very helpful for it. When I met in person, I did have some, like we had, honestly, pennies or something that we would use for monsters. Or maybe other things to denote stronger monsters. Maybe they had like a piece of tape on them or something on top of the penny. There were a few cases I got to break out some miniatures, and in some cases some actual painted miniatures, but that required a bit more planning. Since I was not the DM, I did not have a choice in like what monsters came out and what monsters I brought. It would just happen if it was a case of, yes, we're ending here, and there are some giant, like, not giant, some large toad-like but slightly demonic creatures in front of you, like, okay, I know what that is out of character. I'll bring some tokens that look just like that next time we meet for the fight. Assuming we fight, which, I mean, it's a giant slod. It was a slod, right? Slods are the, like, big toad-like evil creatures? Slod. Yeah, it was a slod. So yeah, in that case. Yeah, a slod. I have slods. Slotty? What is the plural of a slod? What is the plural of a slod? Okay, so it is slotty or slods. So yeah, I have slotty at home. I could bring them. Frog Hemoths. 3D printer. One of the players did have a 3D printer, actually, the person whose home we were playing in. But he didn't often get to actually print things out because, well, again, it was an issue of time. There was once or twice he did, and he actually printed out his own character too, because he had the option, he had the material for it. And also, he didn't have to worry about like accidentally breaking in travel because it wasn't not going very far. It was going from like the side table to his dining room table. I wonder how he actually built the character if he found a model because it was an half-orc wizard. That's okay. Agent of Order, Stasis Strike. That was the one with the restraint, right? That also has a prereq. Thinking about it this way, is it still just as good considering you need a different. You need a very specific other feat for it. Not just like the specific feat, but the subtype. Baleful Scion. Same thing, but instead of lawful, it is evil. So ability increase, and also when you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you deal necrotic damage this time, as opposed to force. 1d6 plus prof bonus. Okay, that's a little different from the others, actually. A lot of the other ones have been 1d8, or 1d4, or 1d6, but 1d6 plus your prof bonus. Prof bonuses usually start at what, 2 or 3? I think it's probably 2. But you have to be 4th level at least to get this, so by then it's going to be at least 3. So you're guaranteed 3 damage on it, as opposed to Agent of Order. You regain a number of hit points equal to the necrotic damage dealt. Okay. I should have finished reading that part. Number of times equal to your prof bonus, and long rest again. I suppose part of the thing is, wait, evil outer plane. You don't need to actually be evil to take this. You just have a penchant for guarding that type of area. So the person who is guarding against demons or devils would have that. That's pretty cool. I'm not upset about that one. Like, it still kind of sucks you have to be at least 4th level with this specific feat. With this specific section of the feat. Okay, Cartomancer. Was that really it for those two? Oh, you know what? It's probably because of ABC. Okay. There's gonna be more, I guess, with this sort of tie-in. But they don't start early in the alphabet. Cartomancer. Deck of playing cards. Card focus. Spellcasting focus. A deck of cards. It feels like something that a lot of people have already hand-waved. Deck has a focus to cast a spell that deals damage. Roll a d4. Bonus to 1 damage roll of the spell equal to the number rolled. One creature of your choice that you can see damaged by the spell. Number of times equal to prof bonus. Regain all expended uses. Okay. Hard trick. Prestidigitation. Prestidigitation. I can say that word. And can use it to create illusions that duplicate the effects of stage magic. When you cast that spell in this way, you can conceal the verbal and somatic components of the spell's mundane conversation. Oh, holy shit. And you just need to be a sorcerer, warlock, or wizard class. Even though there's a prec of level, as long as you're a caster of that type. Hidden Ace. I wonder why Bard is not included. I feel like this is something that should have been perhaps... maybe... Just thinking about Jim Dark Magic and all that, and this is kind of rolling into that sort of magician focus a little bit. A little tiny bit. But not quite. Street wizards being upstaged by actual wizards? Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. But I think it would still be very fun. Like, this definitely feels like something that I would be very interested in seeing out and about, and also wanting to play. Even though mechanically might not be great, thematically, it sounds really fun. But I feel like the stage magic, verbal and somatic component thing is going to get abused horribly, but it might be so funny it will just pass, you know? And I haven't even finished reading this one feat. Hidden Ace. When you finish a long rest, you can choose one spell that you know and imbue it in a card. Casting time of one action, level must be equal to less than or equal to your prop bonus. Okay. You can use your bonus action to flourish the card and cast a spell within. Holy shit. This is great. This is I hope this makes it in some form back. I Yeah. Yeah. It does hammer in that point for yeah. Duplicate, I suppose you'd have to do a bit of research on like what constitutes stage magic, because personally I don't really know. But Hidden Ace. Hidden Ace seems really cool. I mean, sure, it's only one spell, but imagine having that tucked in and not being able to basically the whole gag of like getting all your spellcasting components taken away from you, but still asking if you can keep something and like, bro, I'm in prison. At least let me keep my deck of cards. That's really cool. Extra spell slot quickened doesn't count as a spell slot, so you can cast again. The problem is, hold on. They don't specify whether or not it eats up your spell, though. Might be the issue. Like, it doesn't specifically say this doesn't count against your spell slots. Chosen spell must have a casting time of one action and its level must be equal. Okay. And the fact that it's a bonus action to cast a spell, so you still can't cast a spell with your main action unless it's a cantrip. If it doesn't say it expends a spell slot, it doesn't. It feels like it goes against a lot of the other things that we've been reading here. But yeah. I think this, if this feat survives through UA, even if mechanically it's dumbed down a bit, not dumbed down, but like made a little less shiny, I think it will still be popular. I think it will still be popular. Yeah, give me the, what's the phrase, sage advice on the UA. I'm sure I want to say it already exists, but I'm sure there's people asking the same questions. It is cast. That's fair. It's cast when you flourish the card, it seems like. I want to say sage advice is mostly fine. There's a few things I don't like, but most of it is pretty nice. It needs to be let out. Oh, that's right. I did forget that I do have ads running like every now and then. When I know I can track like when they happen, but I don't exactly know when. Don't exactly know. Ah. Okay, no, that's the wrong size. I know I mostly have them running like just every, like the very minimum that's required, so I don't get that 30 seconds in the beginning. I can never tell when they're running. Not an OBS anyway. Maybe there's a way around that. Cohort of Chaos. So that's the opposite of Agent of Order, huh? Yes, it is. Ability score increase. Chaotic Flare. 1 or 20 on an attack roll or saving throw the magic of chaos. Okay. So this is supposed to be like the wild magic sorcerer, but don't have to be a wild magic sorcerer to get the same ability. Or get that same effect. Chaos Flares. So it's only a d4, huh? A flare lasts until the end of your next turn. New flare can't occur until after the first flare ends. 10-foot sphere around you. Sorry, the only prereq was 4th level, right? Oh, and the feat. Chaotic Outer Plane. Every creature other than you that starts its turn in that area or moves into that area for the first of my turn takes 1d8 force damage. Okay, that sounds a little familiar to something else. Like a barbarian thing. A little bit. But only for until the end of your next turn, not ongoing. Battle Fury. Creature of your choice that you can see gets advantage on attack rolls and disadvantage on ability checks. Okay. Unbound. Wait, a creature of your choice that you can see. So that could include yourself, right? I feel like usually when they write that, that can still be you. Because they didn't specify otherwise. Unbound. You can use some or all of your walking speed to teleport once, along with equipment, up to the distance used to an unoccupied space that you can see. Wait, does that mean so that you can theoretically... to the distance used. So theoretically, move 30 feet, assuming that's your max, and then teleport an additional 30 feet? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. You just double your movement, but half of it is teleport. That seems to be the way it reads. You could theoretically just move, what, like 10 feet, and then teleport 10 feet, and then walk the final 10 feet. That would also be perfectly valid. You spend your movement as a teleport instead of a free teleport? Maybe. Okay. Okay, so not quite as good as I thought. But still, not too bad. It is... the sort of people who like rolling on these kind of charts, though, won't see that as a bad thing. Wailing Winds, 60-foot radius. That's huge, isn't it? It's a blink. A 6-second blink. So you and any creature in that radius has disadvantage on wisdom saving throws. 60-foot radius. Radius is the... which one? Never remember which way it is. That's huge. That is actually huge. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, is that typo? You can forcibly release a chaotic flare as a bonus action, rolling on the table is normal to determine effects. You can use that bonus action force proc bonus long rest again. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, wow, that's... I definitely know some people who'd be very interested in that. I almost feel like this could also be not just a feat for people with this feat, but also just building on the wild magic one. I don't want to say like a freebie to make wild... I don't know that wild magic needs to be like buffed exactly, but like sorcerer is a little sad, right? But yeah, I'd probably offer it as an option for someone who's playing a magic sorcerer. Yeah. Everyone's gonna hate you. I feel like a lot of these options are This one, again, it can hurt others in your party easily. Same with Wailing Winds. Battle Fury at least is your choice. And there's some people who would definitely, I think, take this stuff on. Disadvantage stacks with silvery barbs. Ah, silvery barbs. Silvery barbs. I don't... Just reminds me of someone else I know who's running a game who it's basically said, oh, and there's basically no limits on the characters you can build except for a little star that said no silvery barbs. Ember of the Fire Giant. Okay. Strength, Wisdom, or Con. +1. Resistance to fire damage. Okay. Attack action on your turn. You can replace a single attack with a magical burst of flame. Dex saving throw. Blinded until the start of your next turn. And it's a 1d8 fire damage plus prof bonus. A legendary reaction of silvery barbs. That sounds like a good thing for you know it all wizard. Actually. A lich? Maybe. Fury of the Frost Giant. Let's see. Strength, Con, or Wisdom again. Blinded. This. And you need Strike of the Giants already. Okay. So we need Strike of the Giants. Or average Fey Boss. That's fair. Strike? I haven't even made spells. There's not that very many spells. Okay. We already covered Strike of the Fire Giant. Or Strike of the Giants. So these build off of that. The least annoying Fey to fight? Actually, maybe. Maybe. Thinking about some of the other tricks that the Fae have, my party did not very much enjoy the red caps with their little bursts of speed with their kicks, their heavy kicks, their iron boot kicks. I also hated pixies. I hated pixies so much. It was great. Okay, frost. Frost. Resistance to cold. 30 feet. Okay, so double the distance available from the fire giant one. Attack roll, deal damage, reaction, blast of conjured ice. Okay. Con saving throw. 1d8 plus prof cold damage. Speed is halved. This sounds familiar. So it's a bit like not Eldritch Blast, the Hellish Rebuke a little bit, except add on speed and ice damage instead. The best weapon against pixies is a leaf blower. Can you usually set leaf blowers to reverse to like suck in things instead of push them out? Cause actually, I guess I would just get caught. How would that work? I guess it's more of a vacuum. Vacuum might be better. Maybe? I guess it depends on, if it's a bagless vacuum or not. I think a bagged vacuum would work really well. I would highly suggest getting bagged vacuums and not bagless vacuums. I like the Fury of the Frost Giant, but the fact that it's a prereq thing again, that would have been nice. Airy Speech, Cloud Giant. So Dex, Con, or Charisma. So swapping out one of them. Cloudy Escape. Instant packaging pixies. There's your prepackaged pixie dust. Actually. Vacuumed up pixies. Then maybe... Oh, just thinking, like, would you microwave the bag like popcorn? Or would you... Maybe empty it into, like, a coffee grinder or something, maybe? How would you process that? What's the best way to make pixie dust? These are the deep lore questions you have to ask yourself. How do my players generate this drug? You know they're not going to be satisfied with just, like, imbibing it. Eventually, they're going to end up drug dealers. Eventually, they're going to want to know how to make it. You gotta be prepared. You gotta be prepared for those questions. 100% microwave. Popped pixie dust. Just thinking, like, pop rocks? Pixie pop. That would be the next thing that they would come up with. God. Pixie pop rocks. Cloudy escape. When a creature you can see hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to give yourself resistance to the attack's damage. Huh. Teleport unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. Okay, again, a bit kind of like... No, not Hellish Rebuke. There's a different one. There's a different thing where you get to blink when you get hit. Use this reaction number of times equal to half your proficiency bonus. Half. Okay, so they see this is so powerful they need to nerf the amount of times you can do it. It's another good one. Really like these giant ones. I can see why they have a prereq to them. A 4th level and the feats, even if I would be not upset, but just like feet lock behind defeat. Most people don't plan that far ahead in their builds, I feel like, necessarily. I shouldn't say most. Depending, I guess, on the type of player you are. I tend to be much more reactive. In most cases. There are some exceptions. It's just because most campaigns do not get long enough for you to have that, to need that foresight of like, yes, I am going to make something that will be perfect at level 20. Perfect in next machine with just the right amount of dip into this class. And exactly the amount of feats versus ASIs. Some of the best UA? But what about the one that introduced plasmoids? I did like the one that had the fey creatures, though. Like the owlin and the rabbit and stuff like that. Oh, well, I mean, I wanted to like it really badly, but it didn't come out very good. The one with the updated true namer, with the Onomancer. I think it was Onomancer? Probably Onomancer. I wanted to like it. It just didn't work. Wonder if this is building the blocks for 3.5. Yeah, Onomancer was bad. I wanted to like it. I like the theme. It's just such a shame. Penis of the Stone Giant. Strength, Con, Wisdom. Touch Rock. Magic Rock. Magic ranged weapon. Oh my gosh. This is... You're basically creating David, isn't it? You're David with this rock. This is the thing that you need for your sling wielder. Let me just double check. Like, do you have to keep holding the rock? No. I would totally allow this to be like, yeah, you can stick it in a sling and it will be just the same. Don't worry, it's all flavor. Yeah, rock. So, equal, again, prof bonus, long rest. Also, you get Dark Sight too, up to 60 feet, or increase the range by 60 feet. Magic Stone already exists. Let's double check real quick for that. I mean, like, I don't doubt that it exists. I just have never actually really seen it. Magic Stone. Cantrip, 1 minute, bonus action. Duration of 1 minute. Casting time, 1 bonus action. It would be stupid the other way around. 1 to 3 pebbles. Range spell attack. Hurl it with a sling 60 feet. Bludgeoning 1d6 plus spellcasting mod. Okay, versus this, which is 60 feet, long range of 180. 1d10. And also the strength saving throw, or be knocked prone. So this is better, but limited. But it's also only on one rock versus 3, and you have to use a bonus action for each rock, so it really is a trade-off. But also dark vision. Thematically, I see what they were going for. Outlands Envoy. Sigil. Sigil? Sigil. Outlands. ASI 1. Misty Step and Tongues. Ooh. Ranger was already stacking 2 bonus action damage bonuses. Up. You wouldn't see the bonus damage often. Yeah, having things that need to be spread out like that kind of hurts a bit. Because if it takes a minute is a long time in combat, right? And 10 rounds is that minute because it's 6 seconds a round. So like needing to be able to cast it the second time, or like second round in. That's 1/5 of the battle over, probably. 27 damage on a D4 weapon? Did you crit? That's the only explanation, right? Or was it simply that much extra bonuses? Okay, Misty Step and Tongues as well. Not even a crit? What would it have looked like with a crit? Like, what was the math there? Misty Step and Tongues. Each spell once using this feat without a spell slot. Long rest before you can cast that spell again. Each spell once. No material components for tongues. You can also use it with a spell slot. And spell casting ability doesn't even matter for tongues or Misty Step, does it? I don't think it does. Hold on. Blah. Water. 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 Okay. Water. Yeah. So I guess that, I want to say it's for future proofing, but it seems a little strange because I'm pretty certain that neither of those two require spellcasting ability. Or rather, that's not an important association. Planner Wanderer. Benefits. Adaptation, resistance of your choice until your next long rest of these 3 types. Portal Cracker. The fact that you're actually able to switch out your resistance seems really strong. I'm just gonna really check quick against some of the other feats that give you resistances to see what else they give you. Because I'm pretty certain that there is one. At least one. There's Elemental Adept, which is not quite the same. Because it's not you with the resistance, it's something else. Like, you ignore resistances, rather, when you cast spells of a certain type. Just Control F resistance. Okay, so Gift to the Chromatic Dragon, which has active resistance. Not quite the same. Otherwise, Infernal Constitution, which gives you resistance to cold damage and poison damage. But you must be a tiefling. +1 sling. 1d4 plus 5. Sharpshooter, okay. Hunter's Mark. Bonus d6. And Monster Slayer, okay. Thorn Explosion? That, yeah. Knocking out people with ranged weapons is not really supposed to happen. Those are lethal. But a sling. Well, I guess if you're only doing a d4. But the fact that theoretically, like, the lowest you get there, okay. Theoretically, the lowest you could have gotten was, what, +15 because of that sharpshooter? 19, I suppose, was the lowest you could go? Assuming that you got 3 or 4 bonus die? Okay. Okay, so 18 was the lowest you could get. I mean, the sling isn't the worst weapon, is it? I feel like it might be one of the worst. Venturing. Wait, weapons. I guess it's actually no worse than a dagger. It's just people don't really think about it. Oh, because the sling actually counts as a... Wait, the sling is a simple melee. Oh wait, never mind. It's a simple ranged. Sorry, I'm looking at just the simple one. Simple weapons chart and reading the top of that is simple melee weapons, not simple weapons. So, yeah, I suppose that's more so the problem. But people still love darts. People? Actually, I think darts was one of the lower ones on the rung. Because people, again, forgot slings exist. But darts are finesse, I guess, which is a benefit. Their range is lower, though. By a touch, and then a lot when it comes to long range. Extra attack. Extra attack on a ranger. And then you don't get the proficiency bonus. Slings? Wait. Why can't you technically dual wield a sling? There's no reason not to. It's not like it's a two-handed weapon. You could have had a sling in both hands. It does require ammunition. Oh, but the loading property is different. So... Ah, okay. Yeah, sling doesn't have the loading property, so theoretically... Oh, light. Okay. Whoops. Darts are not light, though. They're finesse and thrown. So I guess that's part of the problem. They need a free hand for the ammunition property? Do they? Oh, you do. That's fair. Mm-hmm. Just thinking like, your extra hand couldn't help with that if you're a plasmoid, can it? That's part of the attack, so probably not. I'm just thinking of the guy from Spirited Away with like 8 arms, the Spider-Man-ish. I'm thinking about that full of slings and using half his arms for loading, half for slinging. Ah, you're gonna shield and sling? I could see that being a concern. I guess it's the same thing with the whole Warcaster. 3 green? They are in one of these UA, right? They're in... Yeah, okay, in here. I keep mistaking the 3 green for the different one. A different multi-armed monstrosity of insectoid ape. Planetary Wanderer had Portal Sense as well. Oh, I didn't finish Portal Cracker. Oh, portal keys. You can somewhat ignore them, I guess. Portal that you are aware of within 5 feet, you make a DC 20 Wisdom Survival check. Failure at 3d8 force damage, and you can't use the feature on a portal again, whatever. Force the portal open or close for 1 hour. It does not respond to its portal key unless a creature employing the key succeeds on an Arcana check. That is incredibly specific, but I suppose in the kind of world where you're picking this, that could be extremely useful. Yeah, I was thinking day opposites. Portal Sense. Direction of the last planar portal that you use, and then portal, and you have to be on the same plane. Action, detect the location of any portals within 30 feet of you that aren't behind total cover. That feels a little stupid. But maybe I don't know enough about portals to know if that's really an issue. It feels like it should not be an issue. Like, if there's a portal within 30 feet of you, shouldn't you know? Unless this is playing on other strange rules. Like, I was gonna say portcullis. Portcullis is not the right word. Like, this particular object is a portal and you won't know until you touch it or something like that. Huh. Your queen can do a lot of strange things, can't they, with their extra arms? I haven't really looked into the trials. Oh, all they released for this was the races. But I guess you have to be really careful with the races. You have to be super careful with crafting races. Monstrosity type. So they got base armor of 13 plus dex mod. Dark vision, and then the extra arms. Hmm. So in this case, Hmm. Throw in a hand crossbow. It's fair. Yeah, insect creatures, extra arms. They haven't really. Okay, I want to say there aren't too many other races that have extra arms, are there? I know that there are a few demons, I think, or devils, more likely demons, that have extra arms, but I don't know about any other player classes that really come with that. Not player classes, player races. Righteous Heritor. That's a good one. As in good. Capital G. Uh, any ability score increased by 1. Okay. When you or a creature you can see within 30 feet takes damage, reaction to dull suffering reduced damage takes by 1d10 plus prof bonus. Prof times per long rest. That's never bad. So it could be as low, theoretically, as, I guess if you're level 10, like 6, or it could be as high as 16. doing that a couple times. It wouldn't be the worst. And again, it's like a half feat, I guess, because the ASI. Just much more freeform. Then we have Rune Carver Apprentice. We already covered Rune Carver Adept. Exile Tales for Exalian Planeshift Goblin. Is that even something in 5e? Let me check real quick. I haven't really looked at the rules for like new goblins or anything like that. Okay. No, they just have basic stuff still. For some reason I'm thinking, okay. But it's not in the player race. Like they haven't made a specific player variety yet. It's commonly accessible. Wait, plane shift? Let me check. Is that? I'm trying to think of the art. Oh, is this Magic the Gathering? Okay. That might explain it. I'm probably also thinking again of Planescape. Yeah, I'm thinking of Planescape. I was gonna say, is that the guy, Tony Turlisi? I don't know his name off the top of my head. All I know is that he was the one who did the art for Changeling. Or some of the art for Changeling. He did the cover art for the Changeling gift books. And it's really good. It's really good art. Very, very evocative. And I didn't actually know anything about Planescape until people started mentioning it. It was kind of, oh wait, this art looks really familiar. Can't believe the guy did that. We're still like, what do you mean Changeling? What's Changeling? Not the famous thing he was known for, I guess. Not that Changeling is that obscure. It's still a White Wolf book. Or White Wolf property, and that was what, number 2 for a little while in the US for I don't want to say settings, but like RPG systems. In general, White Wolf, I mean, Changeling was not one of their top properties. Maybe if it was, they would have gotten that last Kith book out sooner than like 20 years after they started the series. That's 2 a.m. I'm almost done. Not almost done, shit. I'm gonna continue this, I think, next Tuesday. It is actually rather late. I still have to take care of one or two things. I wasn't planning to go to 2 a.m. solely talking about D&D. I was planning on playing Witcher tonight, and I even played some Witcher beforehand to try and make things a little quicker. So I think I'm going to call it here. Let's see, who is currently up and awake? Deku is probably playing something, isn't he? Is Deku up? No, he's not. Oh, but Boolean's playing Nier. Do you guys want to go say hi to Boolean? She's playing Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139. I don't know what this is. I mean, it's obviously Nier Replicant, it's just I don't know what's with the version number. So I think I'm gonna go say hi to her and check out what she's watching. She's a very nice person. She's my future mother. And thank you again for coming. Thank you for listening to D&D. Sorry we didn't get to finish it, but we will finish it on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And Sunday is going to be continuation of the anime tier list, because I still haven't gone through it. My cough will be better. My cough will be better next time. But see you in Booleans, and then after that, see you on Sunday. Have a good night.